We're rolling.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 118 of the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. We are brought to you by Black Belt Digital Marketing. Anything you need to build your business, on or offline. That's website design, Google Ads, graphic design, print, anything you can think of, we can help. Check us out at Black Belt Digital Marketing on Instagram or our website, bbdigitalmarketing.com. You can request a free review of your online presence today. My name is Milton Campus. I'm a brown belt training out of South Florida. We got Bo behind the camera.
Hola.
Miguel is still not with us. Hopefully we'll have him back in maybe like occasionally on a few episodes. He's super busy with work.
Miguel,
I saw him this weekend. We're still buds. There's nothing weird going on. Yeah. He's just super busy. He's traveling a lot for work now.
We have spirit.
The spirit of Miguel. We should get like a little cutout. We probably have enough pictures to put a little cutout of him, right?
Should make a cutout. Yeah.
All right. Joining us today is black belt Zach Maslany. Right, got to make sure I say his name right. He's the owner of Finishers Sub Only. He's also owner of Finishers MMA HQ and 10th Planet Bethlehem in Bethlehem PA. So stick around. It's going to be a great conversation. And let's just go through some of our housekeeping real quick. Don't forget to like, comment, share, click the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate all the support. A few quick shout outs. Thank you to our friends over at Phone Roll. Actually, Sean actually put us together with Zach. They know each other. He told me, you got to have this guy on. He's just a great dude, and I'm glad we did. Phone Roll is hands down the best custom gi and no-gi gear in the business. Visit them on Instagram at flow_n_roll and check out all their custom designs. They're putting out a ton of stuff. They're even putting out more stuff throughout the year, their own stuff, not only the stuff that they create for businesses or academies around the country. They're also putting out their own stuff. So check it out. He's got some really cool stuff that we've even been posting on our Instagram. You can find our podcast tee on their site. We've got a no-gi kit there, the Peace Love Jiu-Jitsu no-gi kit. Top, right? So you got the top and the bottom. Go check them out. Again, Instagram is at flow_n_roll, or visit the website, which is just flow, the letter N, flowandroll.com. You get 20% off your online order, and really what they're known for, not just their cool designs, but they're also known for their pre-order program. So again, check them out. If you're ordering online, you're ordering t-shirts, gis, belts, 20% off with code JJD. All right, thank you to Neutral Zone Clean. We've got their stuff here on the table. My go-to, we were just, I'm giving away that we recorded the episode already with Zach, and then I just mentioned to Zach that I used oops, right? Broke the fourth wall. Right?
Fuck.
So I've actually I spray my belt with the Neutral Zone Clean instead of washing it as much as I used to. So I'm like going over to the dark side, I guess you could say. So check them out at Neutral Zone Clean on Instagram and on Facebook. Their mission is to keep you clean on and off the mats, your training, your personal life, around the house. They've got soaps, wipes, sprays, refills. We've got the canister. We've got the new soap. We've got the 2 liquid soaps here. They're all incredible. I've tried them all. Highly recommended. I always say I carry one of those canisters in the car. I go get gas. I'm shaking a bunch of hands. I got to go to a business meeting tonight. I'm actually going to a happy hour tonight. I'm going to be shaking everybody's hands when I get in the car. I always wipe them down. No disrespect to anybody, but we're in post-COVID days, so
they might have poopies on their hands.
Or that, right? So check them out at neutralzoneclean.com, and you could use code JJD to get 15% off any of their awesome products. Leo Optics. I think this is a different pair of sunglasses I've been putting out. Last time we put out a pair. Very cool. You got to get that, Bo, right? We've got the red stripe from the black belt, right? Yeah. These are like, if you can tell, they're like kind of brown. Very cool. Love them. Like, look like they do that. Like, you see that little stretch? I love that. These are bamboo. These are made out of bamboo. They're really cool. They're made by jiu-jitsu practitioners for jiu-jitsu practitioners, right? So very cool.
And
I love them.
Bamboo is very durable, and doesn't swell with water when it gets wet or sweat, and it's flexible.
How things happen. Oh, it always happens to us like this. I've been wearing like a pair of like aviators for the longest time. I got them at like BJ's Wholesale, right? I've been like wearing. I always buy cheap glasses because I'm always breaking them, sitting on them, losing them.
Yep.
And I had bought Leo Optic a long time when they first came out, and I lost them in New York. They actually fell out of my pocket in an Uber, and I never got them back. And I was thinking about, like, I want to get a different pair. I was like going to go to like the black Ray-Bans, the old school Ray-Bans. And I get a message in my inbox like within just a couple of days. I'm like, I'm going to go buy these new sunglasses. I'm going to go get a new pair. And I like the universe talking to me, saying, and then they reach out and we started working together. So super happy to work with Lionel and his team.
Man.
Go to leooptics.com, get 10% off with code JJD. For all of our sponsors, if you go to the link on our Instagram, at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies, go to the Linktree link, click on that. It'll take you to all of our sponsors' pages. It'll take you to anything that involving the show. It's probably the easiest way to get to these sponsors is just visit us on IG. All right, so thank you to Lionel and his team. We really appreciate it. Love working with you guys. Let's jump into a quick unboxing. So we've got a new box, my favorite box.
Oh, the BJJ
the BJJ box. So we're gonna well, first of all, hold on.
Look at that. Wait, take your no, because it looks dude. It looks so much like you. It's so funny. It's hilarious. But it's
guard this, right? So
and you can't. You can't guard.
New favorite tee.
Nobody can guard you. Are you kidding?
No. Get my ass handed to me all the time.
Yeah.
I'm actually so happy to see. I use this. This was awesome.
What is it?
Life Doesn't Stink. This is Stink Bug. This one's hibiscus mint. I know this isn't the one that I had last time, but I love these. They're really cool.
Underarm deodorant.
I kept that last one. I didn't give that one to Miguel. So we've got a deodorant stick. We've got Honey Stinger Energy Gel.
All right.
As a matter of fact, hold on one second because I've got the write-up.
That's
my bad.
Stimulating.
So I've actually got like the write-up for them. This is Honey Stinger. Like you get the value. So like this is $1.56. Like if you just bought it like this, right?
Right.
So this is fruit smoothie and energy gel. So you get 4 of the most popular flavors. There's fruit smoothie, gold gel, and caffeinated strawberry kiwi gel are some of the other flavors that they have.
Interesting.
All right. We've got penguin fingers.
Yeah.
Cold compression therapy.
Yep.
Do you know what these are?
Heard
you put them in the freezer and then you put them on your fingers if you get injuries. Like we're that's our thing in the jiu-jitsu world is like getting your fingers caught in the jam fingers, getting them caught in the gi.
Karate.
I like
I used to get jammed fingers for karate.
I've already looked through the box, so I'm like, I know what's next.
I got jammed fingers from karate, man. That sucked.
Look, this is really cool. You got a BJJ journal. This says,
oh, cool.
Well, that didn't work, is what it said. The card says, well, that didn't work. Said your BJJ journal to remember how to actually do the technique. So you actually have like some things that you can check mark, the type of technique it was, takedown, sweep, guard retention, whether you could use it for gi or no gi or both, and even has like a little body there. So you can write notes on the body, the outline of the body.
Hurts here, hurts there.
Very, very cool. That is super unique.
Yep.
I've never been a journaler. Like I know some people that do, but I think that this is a really cool way, especially when you're new, to keep track of the things that you're learning. So here is the large. I'm gonna give this away to one of the guys that I know wears a large in my gym. I'm gonna wait for somebody's birthday or something. Mm-hmm. Normally this would have gone to Miguel, but sorry, Miguel, you got to be here to get your gifts. This is the same shirt that I'm wearing. So this, what does it say again? This is you can't guard this. All right, so we get a T-shirt, right? I
don't want to wear that because I get my ass kicked. Somebody will guard me.
This one is Sweat. Is it Sweat X on the go odor eliminator? So it's got like a picture of like football gear, shoes, MMA, like not shoes, skates, MMA gloves, even like a gym bag and yoga gear. So
cool.
It gets the funk out. Very cool.
Funk you.
Okay. Let me look here real quick. Every once in a while, there is maybe no, not in this one. Sometimes you get like a lot of times with the box, you might get a coupon code for an instructional or a website that sells other stuff. So sometimes that happens as well. But look, this is what I call, I say, hey, my favorite jiu-jitsu box. They're going to deliver this stuff to your door every month. We get 2 T-shirts because it's me and Miguel usually. So You're going to get a T-shirt, and you're going to get somewhere, I would say this stuff in the neighborhood of maybe
4 to 7.
With T-shirts could be like $25. This is going to be maybe close to $50 worth of gear. So the guarantee is that you're going to pay less for the box than
individually
than what the items are, the value of the items.
Yep.
So you're going to get premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks. They find the best products in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee that every box is going to be worth more than the cost. So you're just going to get about 4 to 7 items. What did we have here? So with the T-shirt, there's 6 items there.
Cool.
Use code JJD to get $10 off your first order. And again, you go to thebjjbox.com. And there are this is the VIP box. There are some others. There's a quarterly. There's one where you get a rash guard. So go check it out and let us know what you think. And maybe post your own unboxing video on your Instagram.
That'd
all
be
right?
cool.
Pretty cool?
All
right. Let's move on. So I'm going to put a link. We had Tubby and Eric Aliquin on last episode.
Yep.
And before we go into the episode with Zach, she posted about a young man that got hit by a car. I'm not 100% if he's a student or if he trains jiu-jitsu, but a young man, he was walking home from his girlfriend's house and got hit by a car. He was like...
not doing well.
Yeah, he wasn't doing really well. He has to go in for multiple surgeries.
Ooh.
I'm going to put
Ouch.
it's not a GoFundMe, but it's it's just another platform that raised money. I'm going to put it in the Linktree bio before this episode, and I'm going to leave it out there for about a month. Just go, if you can help out, just check out the story. Young kid, wrong place. They originally thought that the car that hit him, like the guy took off. He didn't. The guy that hit him actually stopped, wound up like holding like a towel over his head because he was bleeding, like actually helped him out. So thank God it wasn't like a hit and run situation.
Yeah.
But he's in need and his family could use some help.
Yep.
So the young man's name is Lorenzo. And again, I'm going to put the link in the into our link tree. It'll be right at the top. I'm going to put it in the top so you can't miss it. If you can donate, if not, share. Do both if you can. We'd really appreciate it. I know Tubby and her family would appreciate it as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's it. We're going to jump right in. You got anything, Bo? We're good?
I don't know.
All right. Let's get Zach in here then. Let's do this.
Go beans.
Hey, Professor Zach. How you doing, man?
What's up, brother, man? Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for joining us, man. I think you might be our first 10th Planet guy, to be honest.
Really?
100 and,
oh,
what
wow.
is it? What do we had? 118. This is episode 118. Yeah. So I think you might be our first 10th Planet guy, unless there's been like I don't know.
Nice.
We did have an attorney on that's he's a black belt like under the ATT days, and he said he just started training at a 10th Planet Pompano Beach. He's been going in. I think he's trying to he's an older guy, so he's just trying to supplement his game a little bit. So
nice.
We'll still say you're the first official.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Sweet. I'll take it.
So let's dive in. I mean, I know that you have an interesting story. I know that you're not just a jiu-jitsu guy. I think you did karate and other martial arts. So let's start there. Like, tell us about your intro into this beautiful world that we call jiu-jitsu.
So I got into jiu-jitsu because I got triangle choked in an MMA fight when I was 19, and
that's
I thought I knew what I was doing, and I watched UFC, and I was training at a karate school, but it changed to kickboxing, grappling, but I didn't have a wrestling background either, so I was just kind of down to strike. And I felt like just because I had my, the karate background, a lot of the guys had grappling backgrounds. So I was doing pretty good on the feet for a while. I had some kickboxing matches, did the Golden Gloves, and then I won my first MMA fight, and then the second one, not so much. So turned out years later, I found out that the guy was cornered by Danaher. So I saw it, and I went to a Danaher seminar in Long Island at Matt Serra's gym, and I was looking through the pictures. I was flipping through the picture book. I was like, oh, man, that guy, I fought that guy. And I was like, oh, wait, that's me getting choked out. I'm like, oh, wait, he had Danaher in his corner? I'm like, all right, I felt a lot better. So, because I think that was around like 2003-ish, 2002. And I was training at Tiger Schulman's before that. And it just kind of got me really deep into wanting to learn jiu-jitsu. I didn't know it was that deep. At the time, I just thought it was like a couple of moves, and I really didn't understand it until I actually felt someone like the same size or a little bit smaller than me just completely demolish me and then choke me unconscious. I was like, oh, okay, I got to learn this.
Was it as I call it bougie. That's just the word that I've called it. I mean, like jiu-jitsu, we're so bougie. Like we think it's the best martial art ever. Like it's like, gotta have it, can't do without it. When you first crossed over, was it like that when you first crossed over from like stand-up karate into jiu-jitsu? Were they like that? Like, oh, karate, what are you doing with karate? Get over here.
Yeah, I think, I think because it was Tiger Schulman's, I think they had like a really good, a lot of people don't know this, but they had a really good reputation in the local fighting. Like fighting just kind of started back then. There wasn't that many events. And they had reality fighting, which is owned by Naga or whatever, however you say it, owned by them. And then there's the Grappler's Quest had fights called sports fights. And so they had a couple local, and then Ring of Combat, which is still going on. And back in the day, the Tiger Schulman guys really had the upper hand and they were onto something. They just didn't, from in where I lost it. And, with them was the striking was good, but I wasn't learning the ground game like I needed to, Eventually I ended up leaving. I wasn't training for a while. And, but I started going to the closest Renzo Gracie I could find, but the guys who were running it were only purple belts. Like you couldn't even find a black belt. You'd have to go to New York to learn from Renzo himself. And that's what these guys were doing. So I kind of went down there and started. They did give me, I'm not going to lie, they did give me the cold shoulder a little bit when I first came in because they were like, go to the beginner class. And I'm like, I've already had professional fight. Like, well, there was no it was just pro back in the day. There wasn't amateur, but I was like, I've already had fights. I want to learn the real shit. And they wouldn't let me really learn it at first. They tried to make me go through, which is funny because I do that now as an instructor for all these young wrestler guys come in. I'm like, no, you got to learn the basics first. But at the time I was like, put me in advanced class, and they're like, you don't know what you're doing, So, but man, I did go to a Renzo seminar. I wasn't ranked or anything at the time, and I just had a friend go with me. And he taught us the anaconda choke that day. That was like the main thing. I think it was like some passing and an anaconda choke. And I didn't have a gi or anything, so me and this other guy had to do it no gi. And it wasn't even 10th Planet. I just didn't train gi. Tiger Schulman's was always, and all the MMA places like that I wanted to go to were just like shorts and a t-shirt. And he put an anaconda choke on me in the seminar. And I'll never forget being like, I need to learn that. I need to know, like, how did he get the choke so tight?
Yeah.
I was like, because he almost put me to sleep in like 0.5 seconds. I was like, oh, you know what I mean? And I was like, I need to know this now. Like, obviously, granted, it was Renzo. And he was like still fighting and stuff like that back then. But like, I was like, wow. I was like, I need to learn it. So I feel like some people, I'm sure you guys will agree. Some people go one of two ways when they come in. They either, and Eddie Bravo said he did the same thing. When he first came in, he got his ass kicked. And then he was like, I need to learn how to do this to somebody. And you want to learn it yourself. You figure like, if that guy can get good at it, I can hang out here long enough and I could probably get good at it too. But then some people I've seen come in, even with experience and want to learn, and they just can't handle the class, or they just can't take the ego check of getting beat by some guy who sits behind a desk all day and he comes and pops you up. He looks like a regular guy, or like you're getting choked out by one of our teenagers. You know what I mean? And you're just like, what the hell? Like some people can't take that. Like I've had, people with professional jobs, just train forever, get really good. And then some guy wants to do MMA, comes in and they put him in ankle lock and they get pretty upset. They're like, that's bullshit. I'm like, oh, well, that's real, dude. I mean, that guy's good. He knows the techniques.
I like to tell people, if I lined up a group of people, just normal people off the street that didn't train, and I mixed them in with just 10 people, normal people, mix them in with 10 people that I train with, and just mix them up in a line, you would not cover their ears for the guys that have cauliflower ear. But if you just tried to pick out who did jiu-jitsu, you wouldn't even be able to tell. You wouldn't, there's no, it's just like accountant, vet, doctor, law enforcement, ex-military. Like, it's just such a mixture. Like, they just look like regular guys, unless you get to like, sometimes you get these beefy guys that, maybe look like they're trained, but you wouldn't be able to pick them out. They're just normal guys. And to your point of like, yeah, it's hard for some people to like get beat up by the accountant who's doing that, like training maybe 3 days a week because he wants to get away from his wife, he doesn't want to go home after work, and it's crazy. Like, it's the people that really excel at this, you just would never again be able to pick them out of like a jiu-jitsu lineup.
Yeah. We have like some, really good in shape MMA fighters. And I'm always trying to be like, hey man, like, I'm like always like the devil on their shoulder. I'm like, you should take jiu-jitsu tonight, like I'm always trying to get them to come in. They do the MMA class, with our coach. His name is Zach as well. His name's Zach Makovsky. He fought in UFC a bunch of times, Bellator champ, and he's a beast, and he's a really good wrestler, but he's also a black belt under Marcelo, which is awesome. So we're lucky to have him as one of our MMA coaches. And him and Ricky, our other guy, Ricky Nuno, is a professional boxer, and he, I trained him in jiu-jitsu for a while too, and they're killing it. They're killing it. But the MMA guys, a lot of times, they're a little resistant to come to jiu-jitsu class. Like, they think they don't need it. Some of them, I'm sure, no one has expressed that to me. A lot of the good ones that are winning now for our team do come to jiu-jitsu class. Zach himself comes to my class all the time, just to even watch what the guy's teaching. Like, wouldn't you want to know? I always say this. Wouldn't you want to know more moves? Wouldn't you want to just have them in your back pocket? And I know my guys are sick of me making this correlation, but I'm like, for me, it's like guns. I'd rather get caught. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
they're like, oh man, now what if I get taken down? Like, what if you're a wrestler and you got some hands, but what if a guy puts you on your back and you can't get up, and the guy wrestled in Kazakhstan? Now you're screwed. Now you're going to get your butt kicked. You got to have that other, you don't have to know like backside 50-50 and all these leg locks and shit. You just got to get reps in, like, how, what made me think of this too is how you said that, we believe as jiu-jitsu guys, we're always like, it's the best martial art. You should have this one. And, because the other ones, if the other ones fail, a lot of times it's your last hurrah. It's the last thing you got is your guard. It's the last thing you guard is a sweep or a choke or whatever, if you're getting your ass kicked and your stand-up ain't working, and I don't care what people say. I mean, I don't want to get in a fist fight with someone out in the street. If I have to, God forbid, I would rather wrestle them down and just choke them out, or hold them down, as opposed to be, in the off chance he connects with the back of my head or some crazy thing, you're knocked out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, I did striking for years. I don't want to kickbox some guy in the middle of the street, I mean, maybe you'll win, but hey, maybe you won't. The guy's big. I know. Just if the guy's big and has no idea, he might just come running at you. But the point I want to make is jiu-jitsu, I saw a graph, and it was put out by ESPN, and it had it was all the UFC champions over, I don't even know how long, but it had I don't know if you guys saw this one, but it had the little, thing going up for this is wrestling. This is the champions in jiu-jitsu. This is the ones in kickboxing. And it listed all of them. And jiu-jitsu was lower, and guys were ripping on it. They're like, oh, look at jiu-jitsu, blah, blah. I'm like, but I wanted to know how many of those wrestling champions, parentheses jiu-jitsu, finished the match with a submission. I mean, I don't remember that they teach arm bars and guillotines in wrestling. Do they teach, rear naked chokes in wrestling? I don't think so. So I think wrestling is the number one thing that you need for MMA, but I think parentheses jiu-jitsu is going to be the last thing you got, and it's the final straw to finish a guy off. I mean, didn't all these wrestler guys just choke people out? I mean, they didn't do that in wrestling.
Yeah, right? They triangle those both legs and get on top, and little ground and pound, wait till you turn a little bit, and then they take you back and choke you the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah. And, with 10th Planet, are you guys familiar with the EBI rules?
Somewhat. I mean, just, from a fan's perspective.
Yeah. So at the end of the round, it's submission only. And then at the end of the round, you start from the back control or you start from the arm bar. Now, it's not always the best. I mean, there's so many different rule sets, and I like them all. I like ADCC rules. I always tell my guys as a coach, you guys should be doing ADCC competitions. You should be doing points, because it's very important. You can't just be getting your ass kicked by points the whole time. You got to learn how to wrestle up, not get your guard passed. I think that points tournaments help out a lot. And then submission only is fun because it's kind of the way you roll at the gym. We are not really counting points at the gym. You're maybe keeping in mind, oh, he took my back. I don't go, 4 points, but I've realized I'm losing, you're probably losing it for the guys dominating you in positions, but in submission only, that's kind of how you roll. You're throwing, we're going for sweeps, pass. We're not taking points. But then when you really keep like a really eye on when someone does score on you. It makes a huge difference. I think people you start training a lot more different. You won't just let a guy pass your guard. You know, I know some of my guys love buggy chokes. So they'll be like, well, what if he does? Let's just go for a buggy choke. I'm like, yeah, but don't let him pass your guard in the beginning anyways. You know, and then it's same. I feel like it turns it up a notch and makes people go a little bit of a different speed because you're keeping an eye on it. Like where you can't just lay and, you know, and let the guy get you and mount and then shove him off and go for a leg lock. I'm like, that's not what we want to do. Sure, that might work sometimes, you know, but not against the best guys. So
let's tell everybody. Well, let me tell like a little bit of a story, just like an observation that I've made when I've gone to like competitions, just like locally. I haven't competed in a really long time, but I go to support my team and so on. So whenever, and then not just my team, like just anybody, just like in general, you'll see like a guy getting ready to go on the mat, and there's a guy with the 10th Planet rash guard is going to be his opponent, and it's just like faces drop, and it's just like, oh shit. Do you guys know that happens? That people are just like, oh shit, 10th Planet. Oh, here come the leg locks. Here come the heel hooks. We're screwed. Do you guys know that's what people think? And then we'll get into a little bit about tell us what makes 10th Planet so different.
I just think you know, sometimes, especially I felt like we have a pretty decent competition team. So I feel like, you know, guys do that when they see like our squad or like they see a 10th Planet, they might be like, oh, and I think it's just mostly fear of the unknown because they're just not sure what the other person, like maybe they got some different techniques and stuff. And, you know, there is like the specific moves, like the lockdown, you know, in sub only, we do a lot of heel hooks. So like there's leg lock. Every class I teach, every advanced class I teach, I do some kind of leg lock, either escape or counter or like positioning, just to keep people aware of it because it's the game we're in. We're in the sub only game. So people are going to be going for leg locks, you know, and fundamentals like beginner class, there's really not many leg locks at all. You know, the people have to learn all the other positions and stuff first before you just start ripping leg locks because you're going to be a very incomplete grappler if you don't start with it. But I just think it's, you know, there's, like I said, the lockdown, there's rubber guard, there's just some moves that maybe people don't practice in, you know, traditional schools, I guess. And, you know, I think if anybody you go against that's coming at you with something different that you're not sure of, you know, it's going to throw the other people off. So they might be like, oh shit, now I don't know what to do. You know, this guy's not going to, you know, he might throw something a little bit different at me. I think that's probably, you know, that's the main thing. I mean, there are a lot of 10 planets that, you know, you know, don't really practice the warm-ups like, you know, that a lot of the other 10 planets do. So maybe they don't know some of the more traditional stuff. Maybe they just do more leg locks, or maybe they're just, and I've seen some of the schools that are like, whatever their instructor is good at, like that school kind of emulates them. So if they have like a good top pressure guy, like he might not do much rubber guard. So a lot of the guys are better at passing, you know, so it is different though.
Talk about the warm-ups because I've heard you and other people talk about it before.
Thank you to Feito IT and AV, specializing in commercial and residential automation, security cameras, CCTV, POS, and more. Check them out at feitoitav.com or call 305-428-2515 and let them know the dummy sent you. Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at TheBJJBox. The Jiu-Jitsu Dummies would like to congratulate Neutral Zone Clean on the release of their newest product, a healthy and pH-balanced bar soap that's perfect for anyone looking to take care of their skin. This soap is made with all natural ingredients that help nourish and restore your skin's natural barrier. It contains glycerin, which naturally attracts moisture to itself in the skin, leaving it feeling soft and hydrated. The new bar soap also contains a blend of olive, coconut, and castor oils and shea butter, which are rich in vitamins, nutrients, essential fatty acids, and antioxidants that help fight harmful bacteria. With tea tree and other natural ingredients, it also helps in the prevention of fungal infections. Not only is it effective, but it also leaves your skin feeling fresh and lightly scented. It's gentle enough for even the most sensitive skin, making it a perfect choice for the whole family. Be sure to check out their website, neutralzoneclean.com, for a range of all-natural products including sprays, wipes, and shower gels, and use code JJD for 15% off your order. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, you'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
You know, traditional school warm-ups are like, okay, we're going to do some rolls and we're going to shrimp down the mat and we're going to do some bear crawls. Talk to us about what a 10th Planet warm-up session is like.
Well,
Or
I
what
know
it consists of.
Yeah, I know Eddie at 10 Planet HQ. What he'll do is he'll do like some of the basic things like the shrimping, the we call them hip walks. They're like where you're doing like almost like a 90-90 stretch and then switching and going to the other side. And then he does some of the like handstands and couple different things. But like in our and we don't really do handstands in our school, but we've been practicing a lot more doing like a live drill to warm up. Like in our advanced class, we won't do any of those warm ups. So we don't do any shrimping or anything like that. I mainly just have the guys like grab a partner and start flow rolling. And they're trying to learn how to like go back and forth through submissions, passing, sweeping, like just letting your partner, you know, kind of flow with it. And I'd rather start them off with that than have them do all those other things. I feel like they have more fun. Some of the people, you know, in advanced class, they're competitors, so they know how to flow. And then some of the guys are just, you know, it takes a little bit longer to warm up. So I'll have them do a round or two of that. And then, like, so we have Eddie has come up with, and a bunch of the guys, everybody, a lot of different 10 planets have had their, things that they came up with or things that they thought were important added to our warm-ups. But we have A through H, and then every letter has a different, it has like four, you know, like A has 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are 4 different like warm-ups that pretty much the whole thing is, it encompasses like almost every move you could think. Like in H, there's a berimbolo, there's butterfly guard, there's top half passing, there's arm bars, leg locks, escapes, triangles, anything you could think of, passes, standing passes from the knees, how to get out of side control. So there's like, I don't even know if you counted up how many moves. There's probably like 1,000 moves in there. Wow. So if you know all of those moves, you get pretty, it's kind of like you've made, what's that one saying? It's a jack of all trades, but master of none. Mm-hmm. So like you know a whole bunch of stuff, but you're not really totally good 100% at anything yet. So like, whereas like you could take a different approach where you just take what are the 1 or 2 things that you think you can give someone right away to get them good. And we'll do that too. So we kind of mix up like those warm-ups to make sure that in fundamentals, it kind of everybody gets to see everything. Like you might come in one week and, when you hit one of the letters, you might try a berimbolo at the end of class, even in the fundamentals, kind of like open it up to, let people try things and feel like, oh, there's more to learn and stuff. But it also gives it like a curriculum. I've even been telling our striking guys, let's come up with a curriculum, because I feel like it keeps people honest. If you see the thing again, where it's not like the instructor teaches it one time and then it's gone, you've never seen it again. You're like, oh, whatever happened to that one move we did it one time and now we've never done it before. So, and I'll do that in advanced class too, kind of go back to the warm-ups, like look at the wall, like, hey, today's H day, it's butterfly sweeps. Like, let's go over 1 or 2 butterfly sweeps. Here's a situation in jiu-jitsu that's happening today. Here's a live drill, and then we roll. Right. So
do you have, I'm always curious, because again, I mean, I'm even somebody that's come up in more of the traditional schools. So you think about 10th Planet, like, oh, that 10th Planet was not now, but like maybe when I started, like, oh, 10th Planet, that was that thing that was created by Eddie Bravo to like really, wasn't it mostly created for MMA guys to not get pounded, like to be able to use their jiu-jitsu and protect themselves and not get, ground and pounded in the actual cage, right? That's kind of where Eddie kind of came up with it, but it's taken on obviously its own life. Am I correct in that statement, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Now it's like formed into like, because there's not that many guys fighting MMA, to be honest with you. And if you want to be a jiu-jitsu specialist in MMA, that is really hard to do. Like you got to be, there's high level guys that are having a hard time. Like even Rodolfo Vieira, ADCC champion, he's fighting in UFC and he's not fighting top 10 guys and they're giving him a hard time. Yeah. He's still tapping people out and shit, but there's been a couple of guys where he's went against blue and purple belts that were just tough and he couldn't tap him and he's ADCC champion, so to be a jiu-jitsu specialist and just jiu-jitsu and have no wrestling or striking is very difficult. So like, I think the 10th Planet moves that Eddie, kind of came up with or like kind of put forth thinking that would be good for MMA are great. You just have to be able to put a lot of time into it. Like for someone to really get good at rubber guard, you got to really put time into it. The guys that made it work pretty good were, Tony Ferguson, Ben Saunders, but that wasn't their only thing. They were just adding that and it's exactly what I try to tell our MMA guys. Like, why wouldn't you have, like, sometimes you could just ask them a question and just see what they say. Like, all right, if you get knocked down, how would you get back up? And then if you don't have an answer for me, like, that's a problem. I'd be like, all right, well, you don't have to tell me the word. Show me on another guy. Well, I would, and it's like, no, that's not, like, you could just learn dogfight. You could learn how to get up onto your knees with an underhook. You could learn how to take an overhook and sweep the guy and get back up on top. Why wouldn't you just want to have that? Why wouldn't you just want to have that in your back pocket? Like, throw that, oh man, you got taken down. Here's a butterfly sweep. And then now you're back up on top passing. I'm like, look, GSP, I use him as an example. He had Danaher in his corner. He had Faraz Sahabi. Like he used high level jiu-jitsu guys. Sure, he used his wrestling, but he didn't play guard much. He was more of a passer. Get the underhook, beat him up, pass, get submissions, but he got subbed in a couple of his fights in the beginning, by wrestlers, by Matt Hughes. And then he started putting it together. So I think the 10th Planet moves to bring it back, like the rubber guard, the lockdown, and the overall path that Eddie kind of has, like when it goes to the twister and the back and stuff. I think that's all great. I had one fight where I used a lot of it. Like I used a lockdown. I got an electric chair sweep. I did play rubber guard. It worked as effective, but I ended up losing the decision because I was playing off my back most of the time. So if the guy's on top, even if I'm striking him with elbows and stuff, the judges are going to give it to the other guy. Now he definitely won the fight. Like I'm not saying I should have won, but I did put up a good fight and I was able to keep myself fairly safe with using the jiu-jitsu that I've been practicing for a while. So it was pretty cool, but you got to be able to put a lot of time into it. And I don't know if some guys are just willing to do that. So
we're my school, we're not a 10th Planet school, but my coach is lockdown heavy. We're very much, he's always playing with it, introducing new stuff and then passing it along to us. I love it. That's, I have my two go-tos. My coach calls it spamming or the lockdown, like a nice electric chair sweep and then north-south. I love just like a north-south choke. I think a lot of people don't, defending somebody that's going north without going for like a Kimura, like going to keep you flat. It like, when was the last time somebody like, you can remember somebody teaching you how to like, other than trying to regain your guard, obviously, but like, there's not much sort of like, what do I do when somebody's just like landing on my neck? Just coming
exactly.
Out, like, and I realized that early on, and it's the only BJJ Fanatics I've ever purchased was Marcelo Garcia teaching the North-South. It's the one.
Nice.
Everything else I learned. I'm sorry, guys. I don't buy a ton of instructionals, but for those of you that have instructionals out there, but I consume a ton of YouTube stuff, and then I kept on just watching him like in different schools and in different videos, and I was like, I have to buy this. That's my go-to. But yeah, my coach, as soon as he sees me going into a north-south, he's like, oh, there he goes, Milton spamming. But I'm like, but you told me, right? What's the practice it 10,000 times to be. So I kind of throw that back at him. I'm probably one of the only guys. I'm older than my coach, so I can talk back to him a little bit and get away with it.
Nice.
But it's my favorite. And he's a lockdown guy. He's done some fight to wins. He's won. I think maybe he's like 4-0 in his fight to wins down here in Florida.
Nice.
And it's lockdown to an electric chair sweep, or he's got some little tricks. He's friends with Brendan McCatherine, so he'll bounce some stuff off for him and send him
BMAC's got he's got a serious lockdown. I've seen him use that mad times. And that's the thing, like, it's just like any other, but some people will be like, oh man, it's 10 Planet move. I'm like, dude, it's just another move. Yeah. Like maybe, we like that, or like we'll practice that more than some other schools. But man, I mean, I've taught seminars at a lot of schools where guys were already really proficient at that. And I just showed them like, oh, here's what I would do, or here's another look at it, Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of guys, there's a electric chair video. If you're bored, go on YouTube and just search electric chair. And I have a video up there that's gotten pretty many views. And I forget how many, honestly, but I didn't make it. A friend of mine made it, and he put, some of mine and my student Grace and some of the other people's, like he has one electric chair by Gary Tonin up there. And like Gary was big on that. Like for a while he was throwing, they call it something else. So they don't call it the lockdown. They call it the fishtail or something, maybe dragon whip or something. It's some weird name. I'm like, they make fun of.
I can't keep up with the names. I just know put your foot there. The one way you put your foot there is how we learn it.
I mean, they're making fun of the 10 Planet names for having like stoner control and all this dumb stuff, but they're also having things like dragon's tail. So I'm gonna have to make fun of Gary Tonin for that one.
My coach, though, he does a lot of. He'll make up names for the kids class. We have a really big and a good and large kids program at our school.
Nice.
I train in Coral Springs in Florida. If you know Florida, like 40 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes from Fort Lauderdale. So.
Oh, okay, nice.
So he'll use names for the kids, but then they carry over to the adults class. So you like what does he call that? Oh, so like everybody knows that the kind of the strangle that Gordon Ryan does. He'll mount you right. He'll get both arms over, and then he's got you like this. He's sitting high, and then he's just basically smothering you. I don't even know what he calls that, but my coach called it the Whopper. So we call it the Whopper, but nobody knows what the hell the Whopper means. But he used it for the kids, like the Burger King, the Whopper. Don't know, because I think it was just like getting both arms, so like two patties like a Whopper, right? I think that's where it came from. So he's just got like these crazy names. So we've got these names. So when somebody says a name from another school, I'm like, oh, that's the Whopper. They're like, what are you talking about? What's the Whopper? So like, it's very confusing. I like, you have to show me the move. Just somebody explaining it to me or telling me the name a lot of times, I'm like, you got to show me, because I know we have a different name for it. But he's got a lot of funny stuff like that. But it's all because it's easier for the kids to remember. A lot of times he's using things that are topical. Maybe something's happening in the world like right now, or there's just a term that's being used, and he'll use it for a move, and then it sticks. And then the adults start saying it. Yeah.
That's great for coaching too, because no one knows what the hell you're doing. Yeah. And that's exactly like what we're talking about. Coming at them with something different. You're saying some weird stuff. And, we were in Texas doing someone had a match in Texas, and I was because we were playing the rule. It was a who's number one, and we had to think of the rules, and like, if you really want to win, at the end, if you're already winning, if you can't pass their guard, I was like, look, you might have to bail to leg locks at the end just to get some submission attempts. Mm-hmm. So I was like, when I yell yeehaw, that means it's time to go. Red team go. I'm like, all right, come on, here we go, yeehaw, and they're just like, doing it anyways. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. My co-host Miguel, who's been out for a few episodes, he'll his school will use more like the John Danaher, the Ashis, and say, kind of the Japanese terms, and
those are classics.
And I'm just like, we don't say any of that at my school, I'm lost when you're looking at me, and I might catch him in videos and things like that, but for the most part, he'll say something and be like, you don't know this move? I'm like, show me. Oh yeah, duh, we call it this, and it's usually going to be some odd name, or I just say, no, that's just the one where I put my foot here instead of here, and we never did the name things. But Eddie did that for a specific reason, right? I mean, he's really the guy that started the naming. And was it right so that he could yell out those moves nobody else would know? But also, you guys don't only just name like the move, but you name the positions within the moves, right? So that you go from here to here to here to here. and they're all part of the same series, but right, they all have an individual name, correct?
Some for sure, 100%. So like one of the things he said was back in the day also too, he would have to call because he had these affiliates. People wanted to, he didn't even know about affiliates, but people wanted to be what exactly what I did, where I was like, hey, look, I'm in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm going to open up a jiu-jitsu school because there's nobody out here and I feel like I can do it. And I'm going to start teaching 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu out of there anyways. Like, even if you won't let me say it's 10 Planet, I'm going to teach the moves anyways. So it may as well let me be an affiliate. And he was like, all right. And then once, like guys were getting into it like that, he was like, well, how am I going to say to these guys, like what the move is? Like, it can't be like, go for that one arm bar, when you have your legs around so he started really naming some of the stuff to be like, yo, so when you go to dogfight and you get the limp arm and then you get the seatbelt, and then like, no, he didn't come up with seatbelt, but you know what I mean? If you just keep going down, all the names. Like if I was talking to someone on the phone, I could explain to him, I'm like, if you're in half guard and you get the underhook from the, and you could actually talk to the person. So that's one of the reasons he said he was doing it. So, and with the kids too, I feel like it's, they learn all you guys have a big kids program. Our kids learn it so fast. When I say the names of the positions, they all know it. Like they know it better than the adults, but with the leg locks, it's funny. I don't do that either. I think some of the guys are like, jiu-jitsu nerds, and I like, and I am too, but like they're so much of it's like, if you go from Yoshima Geishi to Yoshiro Ashi, and you go from Ashi Garami to Jujikatami, I'm just like, dude.
When somebody starts talking,
no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
When somebody starts talking to me like that, I start questioning, like, do I know jiu-jitsu? Like, what's wrong? Like, should I know?
Yeah.
But hey, I'm a product of my environment and the way I was taught, and I'll know it. I'll be like, oh, you're talking about a straight ankle lock. I'm like, come on, man. I can't go. I've never been taught that way. If I was taught that way, I would remember it. And again, for me, I know my like he doesn't have a term for everything, but I know my coach's term. When he says some weird name, he pulls a lot of stuff from songs. Like he'll say, I can't even think of one right now, but he'll say like a line from a song, like a cheesy song at that, and we'll all know what he's talking about, but we know, and I tell people all the time, I've talked about this a lot on the show, it's like, yeah, I'm a brown belt in my coach's jiu-jitsu. I'm not so proud that I like, if I go to another gym, the things that they're good at or that they focus on usually comes from your coach, right? It's like they'll teach you the things that they like, and they teach you everything, but you wind up becoming really good at the things that your coach really loves to teach, or his moves, right? So I know I'm a brown belt at my school's jiu-jitsu, but I know if I went to another school, I'd probably be behind and have to catch up. I think, do you have a lot of students that maybe come in and train with you and train at other gyms, or that come from other, and like, I want to learn this 10 Planet thing, feed me, do you have a lot of that happening? And how does that usually play out for them? And does it work?
Yeah, I think guys want to, not just 10 Planet, but like we've been getting a pretty good reputation at our school. So I think a lot of people see like, oh, they have a solid team already and they have like legit athletes. So they're like, I'm going to start training there. And I think that's how places kind of just, you got to get, I can't even explain it. You just almost have to get lucky a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if you just keep inspiring people and building a team, eventually other people want to train with your team. I mean, look at, where the B team and Danaher guys, like the best guys in the world, wherever they pop up, people are going to travel to where they are and train.
Yeah.
So we end up getting the local people, and then we get a lot of people who drive an hour to train with us, that drive, not just, like I said, to learn 10 Planet, but just to like get the training in with other guys that are, like in the ADCC or killing it on the scene. And since we run a tournament at our dojo too, like there's always people in town, like for the weekend or whatever. So you never know who's going to be in class. There could be guys ready to compete and they're showing up a week early or something like that. And then we have like an MMA squad. So like, I think a lot of people are, really starting to, pick up what we're putting down, which is a good thing. And I love training with other people and getting the cross training, and it helps our guys. But yeah, I feel like too, like not just, being a 10th Planet, but just the way our schools, the way we've been running it and the way we've been keeping it, getting everybody learning all the new stuff, in addition to having good fundamentals as well. Every now and then we got to kick back and be like, all right, we got to go back to like getting good at mount escapes and side control escapes and stuff like that. But we're also getting good at, heel hooks and toy bars and all these different new stuff that you got to make sure. So it's like a fine line, but I think it's helped. I think we've been able to help a lot of people. I mean, just today I was on the phone with one of our striking coaches, Ricky, and he was talking about how we have some like guy who wrestled. He was from the area. I can't even remember his name, but he's a young kid. He wants to transition to MMA. He wrestled for Iowa, which sounds like, I don't know much about wrestling, but it sounds like a good school.
Wrestler from like Iowa. That's.
I'm like, that sounds good. Yeah.
It's like 10th Planet guy, then wrestler from Iowa. Those you don't want to hear those two things when you're going out on the mat to compete.
Yeah, I'm like,
oh,
yeah,
shit.
because I feel like we could really make. And I really feel like we have some legit fighters that could go to UFC if they stick with it. But I feel like we can make some people, because Lehigh Valley in our area, we have it's like Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Easton, Allentown. And we're close to New York, and we have a lot of really good high school wrestlers. Yeah. Like it's a big area, and then colleges too, like East Stroudsburg. Yeah. There's a bunch, and Lehigh, which is another one. Yeah. And, if these kids go from here, like Freedom, Liberty, Bethlehem Catholic, like they go to wrestle somewhere else, like Iowa, and then they come back to the area. And I'm like, yo, let us get our hands on this guy. Like, he's got no striking, so he's like a blank page, so they can help him out. He's already got the wrestling, which is perfect. Now I feel like I said, now like jiu-jitsu is that parentheses next to that wrestling. You're going to be able to take anybody down, most guys, right? Obviously, at the elite level, there's guys that are freaking wrestle in Kazakhstan and all this stuff that are beasts. But you're going to be able to take most people down. But let's get in there and get out. Like, why get in there and waste time? Like, sure, you want to get your mat time in, but let's get in there, take the guy down, take his back, rear naked choke him. It's over. You know what I mean? You get in, get 10-0, get to UFC. We'll worry about, getting along the way, getting good. But I mean, for me, I would just be, if I had one weapon that I could just keep spamming, like you said, over and over on these guys to get out of MMA fights, I would be like, all right, I'm going to spam it until I'm like 10-0 amateur and got a title, and then go pro and do the same shit. Like, we got a couple of really good wrestlers. I'm like, just take them down. Just take them down.
Yeah.
Don't like, well, I want to, they want to, I'm like, no. There's only one way the guy can beat you is an overhand right. Just take his ass down and choke him out, but you got to have everything on point. But that's what I mean, though. Imagine if this guy wrestled for Iowa, he's in with the striking coaches, and then he's got, we get him to like purple belt level by the time he goes pro. He guy could be dangerous. Yeah. If anyone ever did take him down, he'd have all these other moves and stuff. So I don't know. I love this stuff. So I feel like I'm like just, on the precipice of like, getting there with somebody, you know what I mean? We're so close.
So let's talk about, you mentioned competitions at your gym. Let's talk about finishers. Tell everybody about the gym, right? Because you're 10th Planet Bethlehem, but you're also Finishers MMA HQ, right?
Yes.
Tell everybody about what that means, and tell everybody about the Finishers sub only.
Yeah, so Finishers is a name that actually one of my high school buddies came up with, because back in the day when I was single, I used to go out to the bars a lot in my local area, and there was one bar that used to have the fights, but it was called Starters. It's called Starters Pub, right? Okay. So we would go there, and they would have the fights, and it was just such a weird mix of people. They tried to make it like a sports bar / nightclub at the same time. So like there would be, and then they had a kids section like of like video games and stuff, almost like a Dave and Buster's, but not. So it was like a weird mix. And then there was like an up above level with a VIP that like a lot of during NFL training camp, the Eagles players would be there. So like McNabb and like all these guys would be, and then they would have like, it was crazy. Like every now and then there'd be like pro wrestlers in there. Like one of my friends saw like Hulk Hogan. It became like a really cool spot. But it just got crazy because people started acting a fool. You can't have nice things, I guess, out here, but, it would mix. Like people would start getting drunk at the bar while there's families still eating food, and then there's kids playing. And then it was a crazy mix, and people would get in fights all the time. And I thought it was fun, just being a single guy, just roaming out there in Bethlehem. And I think we got kicked out. Something happened. And we got kicked out, and one of my buddies was like, you know what, screw Starters. We need to stay at your house. We're just going to go to Finishers. And that's what he called my house, because we would just have drinks there pregame or whatever. And then eventually he was like, I don't remember exactly who came up with it. Might have been him as well. He was like, actually, you know what, man, that would be a good name for an MMA school. Because I had always told him I'm going to open up a place, And the reason I ended up getting in with 10th Planet is because I saw the moves. I knew I learned about Eddie, and I kind of saw what he was doing. It was no gi, and I really never trained gi. Even when I went with Henzo's, I just kind of went to the no gi classes. Tiger Schulman's, once they dropped the karate gis, which were short sleeve, and we didn't really grapple in those anyways. It was just a shirt and gi pants. So it's weird. I see Eddie Bravo, and he's just wearing gi pants. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like what I'm wearing. So kind of like, I was like, let me figure this guy out. And I'm pretty I'm getting old now, but I'm pretty flexible. And I'd always have lotus with my legs. I could always like do a straight butterfly stretch, but never, for some reason, I can't touch my toes. I don't know why. It's a weird situation, but I was like, oh, I could do the rubber guard. So once I found out about that, I was like, man, I want to get ranked under this guy if possible. And then when I open up my MMA school, I'll be able to have like an affiliation at least, because I wasn't like affiliated. And I was just telling people I was going into advanced divisions, but I was just like a white belt. And they would be like, what belt are you? And I would say white. And they'd be like, how long have you been training? And I'd be like, 13 years. And they're like, what? Or I'd be I give up. Yeah. Or I'd put in white belt, and they would say, you got to go in the beginner division. I'm like, I'm telling you, just let me do the advanced division. I might not win because I didn't have the guys to train with like a jiu-jitsu school, but I was like, I'm telling you, it's unfair if I go in the other divisions. Just let me fight these guys. And that's, in the beginning, because I was like basically on my own. Like I got smoked a bunch of times in leg locks and stuff that I didn't, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. But then I learned, and I just kept training and put myself in positions where you had to get better and traveling to go learn from places. And when I started teaching jiu-jitsu at another MMA school that went out of business. Then I opened up a jiu-jitsu school, real small, 770 square foot, something like that place. And then, we would have guys boxing. We had one heavy bag, and, we just kept moving up. And then I just had a lot of people in the area that, followed me and the rest of the squad. And we got some students really good. And, now I have a place that's 12,000 square foot. It's crazy. It's huge. Got 2 different mats. So one jiu-jitsu mat, one striking mat. So, and then there's a gym behind it for weightlifting, everything. So it's been a crazy ride, and it's awesome, man. So
now the sub talked about
the tournament,
the tournament series.
Yeah, so we started the tournament just because I felt like when EBI started, Eddie's tournament, there was no really opportunities out here. And like Grappler's Quest, like what's the biggest tournaments in Florida, do you think? I know there's Jits King now.
Well, Jits King for the kids.
That's for kids.
That's for kids. Down here, I'm in South Florida. That's that's Central and North Florida up there at like Kissimmee, Orlando. Down here, honestly, like New Breed has gotten big, but that's New Breed, they're newer. The Nagas are around, not really. Like in my town, we have it's really nice. It's called the Coral Springs Gym. So all of the tournaments come there.
Okay,
even
nice.
I don't know if they've done an IBJJF, but New Breed's big. But honestly, really, like everybody waits for the IBJJFs. Like there's Miami, they do the Spring Open. We do go. My team goes up to Orlando. There's just constant.
I feel like.
There.
Yeah, I feel like out here there's not as much. There's Naga, and then there's some smaller tournaments, but people just kind of, now super fights are big, so a lot of guys do super fights.
Jiu-Jitsu World League was just here in Orlando.
Oh, okay,
and
that's a big one,
up there too. I don't know how many they've done here, but I think this is the first time my team went up to Orlando for that one. So a lot in Orlando, a lot in Miami, and then New Breed is like the ones in between because they'll go to the smallers. Even Arte Suave does something in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one too.
So they're a lot. I've got the chick. I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect her. The woman from White Lion Promotions.
Oh yeah, okay.
She's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. She does some stuff down here in South. She's
nice.
Based down here, so stuff like that. But like tournaments, where everybody can sign up. Again, it's IBJJF, Naga, New Breed.
Nice. Yeah. So like we always thought like there wasn't much like pro events, like where guys could like go for money. So I was like, man, I bet you if we just told everybody like, hey, find the local best guys, some underground type dudes that don't really do IBJJF or whatever, and said to them, hey, it's going to be $100 to get in, winner take all, 16 guys, and let's run it. And we did one, and the first one was won by Gordon Ryan because he's from Jersey, originally. So I'd seen him grow up, and one time I almost competed in the division that he was in, and I know a couple of the guys that faced him or almost faced him a bunch of times when he was like 16 and he was kicking the shit out of everybody. And so then it kind of like got a little bit of a history, and we would have it maybe like every 2-3 months, have a pro one. And then when I moved to this facility, and that's why I brought this up in a long-winded way, but when we moved to this place, like we had our own spot that we could run the tournament. So sometimes we run an amateur one where anyone can sign up. And then like this Sunday, we have another one that's a pro event. It's on Flow Grappling now, which is cool. It used to be just on YouTube. So that's going great. And it's like my vision of it was first just submission only, like pro events every now and then. But now I wanted to turn it into a league where like every month there's a tournament. So like, and that's what we've been doing. And everyone loves it because, there's a chance to compete all the time. So even if you lose one, you come right back for the next one. A lot of people, use it to just stay like active, like competitors that want to compete. So we'll get high level guys who'll just jump in the random, event, which is cool. And then, like I said, this weekend it's probably like 25 matches, pro matches. And then we created titles too. I'm a big like old school WWE fan. So I always liked having the guy like, Hulk Hogan's a champ, and like there's a history of the belts and all that stuff. So one night we had a big event where it was Night of Champions, we called it, and just everybody came in for the different weight classes, and then whoever won was the champ. And then I bought one belt. It was like $500, $600, and it's got like the Finishers logo on and stuff. And then, guys come back and defend it. And if you win, you get to keep the belt, and we throw you a couple bucks. And then there have been people like, that have been defending the belt over and over again. And like, I encourage them to, kit promos and be like, anybody who wants to fight me, come down to Finishers, and they do it with the belt on, and we put up like a little set. So, and now that it's once a month, it's a way for guys to stay active, make money. And then, cause it makes money off the stream and, people checking to get in, we're able to pay the athletes, which is dope. And then we're also able to pay the whole crew, the photographers and video people. And it just really goes, it's just one hand washing the other, because now it helps out, the athletes as well. We have a design guy who does all of our flyers. Shout out to Sean. And he just knocks, he's a beast. And it's really helping guys like make a name. Cause before there was what was the path if you wanted to be a jiu-jitsu, pro, 100%, not have a real job? The only way you could do it is if you own a school. But the problem is, if you own a school, which I did for a long time, is compete and own a school. It's very difficult to do because you're trying to, be good and compete with high level, but at the same time teach beginners and, answer phones and do emails and like all this other shit that you got to do. Like, hey, my website's down, I got to go lift, it's like, and have a real job, very difficult to do. So guys always had to have the gym in the back pocket, or you could just have your name on the gym if you started really doing good, and have a bunch of other people teach. That's where I met Eddie. Like it was at Legends Gym back in the day, like 2003, and it was Boss Rutan and Randy Couture on the front, and I've been there a million times, and they were never there. You know what I mean? They were just on the front. I didn't want to do that, nor did I have any kind of name that I could just throw up or money that I could teach people. So. But now there's like kind of a path. Like you could work like a part-time job. You could just start winning local events. And that's what these guys are doing. They want to win. Now we have a Midwest Finishers that my boy Omar runs out in Chicago and in Lombard, Illinois. And it's cool because like those guys, they're champions. I want them to fight our champions, and then I want our champions to fight other champions. So it's pretty cool. And then check this out. We created this new thing. You can check this out. It's called the WSOA. It's the World Submission Only Alliance, because I feel like all these little sub only tournaments, and there's a million of them, like White Lion is one of them. Like I spoke with her a couple of times a long time ago, and I think when she was just getting started, but and I want to have a Finishers down in like I'm wearing the 10 Planet Miami shirt right now.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And, I knew you guys were in Florida, so I got to throw in the Miami shirt. But I want to get all the tournaments on one website. Doesn't matter where the streaming is, whether it's pay-per-view, whether it's free, whether it's an open. I just want to get all the sub-only events together, so that way we can like cross-promote each other. Because there are some guys like this one guy, Max Hansen, for instance. Like he was on the who's number one a bunch of times, and he's a champion at the finishers. He's won the Sapaterio, which is in Florida.
Yeah.
He's won, so he's going around trying to win all of them. And then like another case is, and then what I really think it helps is it promotes everything. It helps promote all the smaller events to like maybe a wider base, maybe people who got dough to travel. Like you want to go to Pennsylvania. I want to win that one. I want to get the belt down in Florida as well. And it's like, now it's cool because the guys are talking, they're kind of like talking junk too. They're like, oh, I'm the champion in all three areas. You know, no one's ever done the trifecta. And you know, it's people, it has something to post on social media as opposed to just nothing. So I feel like it's helping the guys really promote. And like another one, Alex Enriquez, she's really good. She competed on Who's Number One, but her step to get up there was, you know, she came to finishers.
Oh, she just fought Tubby? Is that the one?
Yeah. Alex.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. She's the finishers. She won our 125-pound Grand Prix and won $2,500 or $2,000. And then she also came out and won one match, and then she came back and won the title. So she's the 135-pound champ as well at finishers. So then she went and did EBI, won that, and now she went to Who's Number One and won that. So I'm like, I feel like that's a path for people. They could start, doesn't matter if you win or lose in the beginning. You could start at the open. You could compete, you know, 2-3 times. And then now you want to know what really got people going is we released rankings. Like we put out rankings, and then people were like, yo, I'm number 2. Finishers 135, but then other people are like, I'm not even on the list. This is bull crap. Like, you guys suck. So
that's awesome.
It was a good mix, but it's the same thing. It's just for people to, you know, use for their own benefit, you know? Yeah. And if we have it going once a month, it's perfect because some guys want to compete once a month to stay busy. And I think about this too, wrestlers, they're used to competing every weekend. You know, they compete in high school and college. You compete during season every weekend. So some of these guys are like, hey, I want to compete 2 times a month at least, you know, especially if it's one match. Why don't you just, you know, so people are really enjoying that we're open, and there's no pressure on us because we don't have to rent a venue. We don't have to do all this other hoopla. It's just at the gym. So if we're going to run the 25 matches, whether 10 people show up or 50 people show up, and the athletes really like that too, because they don't have to sell tickets. You know, where everyone's like, you could do the match, but you got to sell 10 tickets. Like, oh man, that's tough to do. Then you're out there like, buy tickets off me. I think the promoter should promote. Like, it's up to you to get the people in, you know? Yeah, sure. Yeah. People, you know, you got to sell your tickets, but that's another thing. I got to fight and sell the tickets. It's like, it's kind of tough.
Yeah. You take your mind off of what's the goal.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of guys like, you know, you hear like UFC guys don't like to, I'll use Grace as an example. Like, she doesn't like to do the promo before.
No. Yeah.
Grace doesn't like to do promo, right? You know, but there's certain people that just, it's not their thing. That makes them uncomfortable. It causes a lot of anxiety, takes their focus, you know, off of the goal, and they wind up feeling like they didn't do as well because of that outside pressure. You hear a lot of that, like from the UFC. I know I heard you talk about that with Grace, that she's like, she does not like anything to do with like interviews, right? My guy, John Blank Thor, like he's getting a lot more comfortable, but like he doesn't really want to do that either. I think, you know, with the anxiety, I'm sure that they have doing these high level matches. And even if they didn't, it's just like another distraction. And, you know, I love doing, I don't mind doing it, especially because I don't have to do anything if I'm traveling with them. Like I'm just chilling and coaching. So I'm like, I'll do all the interviews you want, you know, but for them, they're just like, I know Grace would rather just show up and compete and not have to like, oh, let's get a picture and let's do, you know what I mean? She don't even care. She don't even post anything. Yeah. So like to her, it's not a big deal. I mean, Thor's the same way. If you look, he could have way more followers but he barely posts anything. Like, so. You know, I'm just the mouthpiece of the guys. That's good. That's fine. Yeah. So we're going to get into some of the listener questions. So I'm going to throw.
Nice.
Some of these might be people that you know. Again, a lot of times, I sometimes I see the structure of the question, the way they ask it, like they know you. Or I go I go and I see that they train with you. So this is the Humble Killer.
Oh, nice.
He says, any hints as to what kind of sorcery you will be giving us the Friday of the Finishers Summit? And then he said, let's go.
Nice. Yeah, Sean, he's a man. So yeah, we're having a big thing. Since we got the facility, another thing we're having is we called it the Finisher Summit, but it's me, John Blank, JT Torres, Jay Regabluto, Greg Souders from Standard, and Junie Ocasio from Unity. So we're having like a little seminar series where it costs like $250 and you get the whole weekend. We're all going to watch, we're not going to watch UFC at the dojo because I don't know what the rules are on that, but so I'm teaching Friday night, but the other guys are teaching on Saturday and Sunday. So 2 of the sessions are going to be like live training and stuff too. So I feel like people learn a lot of this stuff, and not just learning from it, but it's the community of being there. You know, you get to be around the high level guys, and other people are interested in like doing the business like this and everything. So it's really cool. But as for what I'm teaching, like probably I usually, if it's going to be like, I know there's already like 68 people that signed up, so it's getting close to a sold out. So I'm like, man, I better throw in my best stuff. Like I don't like to be toying with new things, like they say in stand-up comedy. Like I'm not trying to work out new material in front of like 65 people. I'm just gonna throw them the heat.
I love that he says sorcery. Again, I mean, I'm just telling you from the outside. I mean, guys like me at other school, like those are words that you would associate with 10th Planet. When you hear 10th Planet, you're like,
sorcery, yeah.
You're like, oh, what are they doing now? Like, what are they going to come up with? Because it's always, again, from the outside looking in, it always seems like it's like cutting edge or strange, or I just don't do that thing.
Yeah, and I like the memes. Some of the memes are hilarious that people have up, are like, you know, guys levitating and like aliens, like, come on, take your first class or whatever. But I'm probably going to go over some like I feel like my best move is the arm triangle. And I really like that because it's a choke. And I do like leg locks, and I like arm bars and all this stuff too. Nothing better than seeing like a clean, you know, crisp arm bar hit. But I really like chokes because in MMA and jiu-jitsu and in self-defense, the choke is king. You could choke someone out, especially on top of them. And the way that I like to do it from mount, Craig Jones is a very similar one that I saw, which might even, I might even like better now that I've tried his out. Like it's very similar, but it's just a little bit of a different way. The only thing is if you don't stay in mount, there's like this backflip guys can do to get out of your arm triangle, which I've seen happen. A couple of our guys have hit it. Grace does it like this too. I like the S grip. Some people like to use this gable grip. You know, some people like this, but I like to start with the S grip. But there's a couple tweaks that I've been working on where if the guy turns, because there's like a defense people have been doing to me. But I've choked a couple people unconscious with that one, and I've been choked unconscious with that one, with the arm triangle like that. And I feel like, man, once you got it right, that squeeze is just, I mean, even if guys take damage on an arm bar or like take damage on a leg lock and you crank it and they don't tap, chokes, it doesn't matter, going to sleep. So probably go over some arm triangle details. And I'm big on leg lock escapes. That's like the 2 best. I got a couple BJJ Fanatics DVDs, but I just put out a new one. It's called Breaking Free. They came up with the name of the idea, but of the thing again. But because I was like, called Dismantling Leg Locks Volume 2, and they didn't want to do a Volume 2. So the first one is Dismantling Leg Locks, and then I had some other corny ones that they didn't like. I had ChatGPT come up with some names. They were stupid. I was like, but it's crazy how good that thing is, because some of them were pretty good. Like where I put up because Breaking Free sounds like that Scientology documentary that they put out. I forget what that one's called.
Going Clear.
Yeah, Going Clear. Yeah, so it sounds like that. But like I just asked ChatGPT. I should have brought it up. I don't know where it's at now, but I should have I asked it like, give me good names for a leg lock escape instructional, and it just spits out names in like seconds. I'm like, wow, this is insane. But I feel like that too is like probably if I was teaching a bunch of people, what can I best serve everybody with? Like, sure, I want to show you my best thing, but then I think also showing you like a leg lock escape. You know, my jiu-jitsu hero, I can't believe it brings this up, is John Jacques Machado. Okay. I got to train with him a bunch, and he's such a beast, and he's such a great guy. And like everything he says is like, you know, if you think 10th Planet is sorcery, like John Jacques literally is a sorcerer. Like he's a level 10 magic card, Pokemon, whatever the hell. He's the end boss, because when you roll with him, it's like going with a ghost. Like you can't put any pressure on him. He's just not there. And when you think he's got such a weird, he just shuts everything. Like there's videos of him rolling with Eddie Bravo, and he just shuts everything down. like anybody that tries to like, I've seen guys go, try to go after him, and younger guys too. And he's just such a beast. There's a role with Grace, with our student Grace Gundrum. There's a role with her on YouTube against John Jock, and it's not against, but everybody's watching. It's just like to see Grace. I mean, I'm sure she was nervous, but to see her like just get hit with some weird moves, like it's invisible. It's like what they call with Hickson, that invisible jiu-jitsu. Like I can't even explain it to you. You just have to feel it. And even then you got to have some kind of understanding of like, oh, and it must be just, I can't figure it out. And he's just, more mat time, my brother. I'm like, damn it. Like, that's not what I want to hear. Tell me a secret. Just keep train for fun.
I don't know if my coach got this from somewhere. I've been saying it for so long. I don't even know where he got it from, but just for every level, there's another level. It doesn't end, especially with jiu-jitsu. There's always some there. I don't know about him, but there's always somebody that will make even a high level guy feel like a white belt. Like,
oh yeah,
what just happened? I mean, that's what Gordon's famous for now, is like making guys look like their first day of training. Like, like they can't even get a game started against him.
Yeah, it is mind-boggling. Like, you're like, okay, this guy's gonna do something. Yeah, and you're like, what? He just ran that guy over. Yeah. But that's how John Jock talks about like Hickson and and like Holes and stuff. Like, he just talks about how they would just like, oh, he was the best. I got, you know what I mean? Yeah. So to him, like, that's, you know what I mean, the next level, which is crazy.
Yeah, at my level, just in my school, like when I'm rolling with like maybe a white belt or a new guy, and they're just like, man, I can never get anything started against you. I'm like, do you see how you feel? I am going over here now to roll with that guy, and I'm about to have that same feeling because he's going to hand me my ass like I handed you yours. So it's not, it's everyone's evolving, and for every level, there's another level. It really does mean something, like.
Yeah,
I get my ass handed to me on the regular too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Some of the guys think, I mean, they're like, oh, Zach, you're so good or whatever. And then like I did like a light round with JT, and like when he came in for a seminar, and he shoulder pressured me almost to sleep. And I'm like, dude, what? I'm like, I didn't think. I was like, because you look at it like, I get out of that, and you're like, no, you won't, dude. Yeah. He'll just kill you, if he wanted to, easily, with like it's a joke, which is fun. That's why I love it.
All right, we have question number 2 from the Humble Killer. You said his name's Sean?
Yeah, Sean, yeah.
He says, who would win the intergender championship, Craig Jones versus Gabby Garcia? And would you take on the winner?
No and no. Actually, yeah, if it was for the right amount of money, sure, I'll do it for my family. You know what I mean?
So who do you got, Craig Jones or Gabby Garcia?
I got to go Craig Jones just because of the leg lock situation. I feel like, I don't think, Craig Jones, one of the best leg lockers in the world. I don't think she can defend those legs.
I agree. All right, so we have the Nimble Yeti. I'll actually, nice. I don't know if you know who this is. I have a question. He says, how do you make, you kind of mentioned this before, how do you make time for your own progression when you're in those periods of time where you're teaching or traveling a lot?
Yeah, it's tough. I do watch a lot of instructionals. Like, I do watch a lot because I want to see what, people we're going against are doing. I want to see just what the, just general feel for guys. And like, it's funny because guys will be like, I don't want to name any names, but guys will be like, oh, this guy's so good. Like, he's putting out all this cool material. But then I'm like, yeah, he's stealing it off this guy. You know what I mean? Because I seen it. His was out before his, you know? So, and even stuff that I teach, I mean, obviously I didn't come up with it. I just maybe have like your own little spin or your own idea on it. So it's not really stealing per se, unless you like copied the whole guy's DVD or something like that. But I do watch a lot of that. So I'm always trying to keep my ear to the streets. I just got off an injury, so I haven't really been rolling in 2 months. I just started rolling again. And I feel like that really helps. Like, I feel like, I don't know how Danaher does it. And some of these guys do it when they're not training, because for me, I want to see what's working. I got to get in there and like try different things. And, I'm always trying to like, one thing I definitely do is I pick, I started specific training myself more, like, especially getting older, dealing with injuries. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try, as opposed to just going in and rolling and doing whatever and having no mind, which sometimes it's good to do that too. I'm not saying any which way is right or wrong, but what I'll do is I'll have like a specific thing, like, okay, for a month, I'm actually going to try to get good at deep half. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to try to, really play half guard. Sure, whatever happens, but I really want to put myself in positions. And it's hard for people to do that because you might get tapped. You might, it's tough because you got to go teach the class. And then all these guys are looking up to you, whatever. And then if you just go in there and get washed by all your purple belts, that's not a good thing. You know, like, sure, they're going to you're teaching the snakes to bite. So they're going to get you every now and then.
I like that.
But I'm trying to figure out, I forget, I stole that from somebody, but I forget, like, I try to, like, okay, I'm working deep half. Like, I realize, like, hey, if I mess up, like, they might get you, you know, or like, I'm really trying to get arm bars, or I'm really trying to, you know, work on my back. I want to take everybody's back for a month, you know. And like one of my guys, Sid, he teaches some of our kids classes, Sid Tavallaro. He's a beast competitor too. And he's 18 years old. He's a purple belt. He's a beast. And like he'll have nights where like it'll be advanced class, and he'll come up to me and be like, you know, some nights he'll be like, I'm not throwing any leg locks tonight, you know, or other nights he'll be like, yo, I'm just going to spam Imanari rolls. I'm just going to keep grabbing and putting you in leg locks and just really annoy the shit out of guys and try to tap people like 6, 7, 8 times in a round. But sometimes just like, hey man, I'm just going to try to relax and not get hurt as well. You know? So I'm kind of like, that's one way that I've been really trying to progress myself, is force myself into playing positions that I wouldn't normally play and do things I wouldn't normally do. So that's good. Letting people put me in submissions and like working to get out of it. That's another good way too. Like, if you never put yourself in bad positions, you're not, you know.
Yeah. If I'm rolling with somebody, usually like a white belt or a blue belt, and I'm just beating them a lot, I'll usually just let them, like, okay, here, start on my back, or let's start in side control. Like, or tell them what's your favorite position, or what are you working on? Is there something you're working on? And just like let them kind of, you know,
that's awesome. You do that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many guys that just, and I don't know if it's like a, you know, mental thing or whatever, but they'll just tap the other guy out 1,000 times. I'm like, what are you doing? No. I'm like, help him. Hey, you get, even what the kids don't understand. So I have to explain to them, like, hey man, let's help him out. Help your partner out. If you tap him out once and you're like, oh, I could crush this kid. Let me help him a little bit. Let them even tap. And now my kids will let other kid tap them. Not like just all the time, but every now and then it'll be like, oh, you got me. Good one. Yeah. You know, build their confidence up a little bit. Don't just saw them off 50 times in the same arm bar.
I let them get close. I don't want to build them up too much. I let them get close. Right, I let them get super close, and then I'll wrestle with them or something.
Yeah, exactly. Back to where you came from.
Yeah. I definitely, I like to do that. Like my rule, just myself, is if I tap somebody really quick, then I like, okay, like I'll pull and let them get into an advantageous position, or again, let them do something that they like. But it depends. You know, some days it's you had a bad day and you're like, no, I'm going to tap you 50 times.
Exactly.
With stuff that you don't even know how to defend yet. All right, so we're going to go to our next question. Is Juggernaut 10P?
Nice.
Got to be a 10th Planet guy, right?
Yeah, I know this.
So, you know him. He's got a couple of questions here. So he says, what's the proper age for a child to start jiu-jitsu?
Well, I mean, honestly, they could start whenever. I mean, I got my son, I think my son is going to be 2 coming up in July, beginning of July. So with him, you know, he's not ready to do moves and stuff yet. Yeah. But what I do with him is I do bring him to the dojo all the time. That's 2 words that he says: dojo and guys. He's like, guys, dojo, guys. So he loves all the guys at the dojo. But I want him to just be around it. You know, so introduce them to the mat so he's not like afraid. Like, because I see some kids, they come in their first day of jiu-jitsu, they're 8 and they're just scared shitless because, you know, it's something, it's not because of jiu-jitsu, it's just something different, you know. But I would just put the kids in, you know, as you know, sometimes they can handle it at 4 or 5 if they have older brothers or sisters, or they're just a more mature kid. But some kids, they need to wait till they're like, you know, 6 to 8 years old, somewhere in there, you know. My goal is to start my son though, like in gymnastics, as soon as he's like, I can take him to a good gymnastics place twice a week. And, you know, because it's my son, I don't know if, since I'm the teacher, it might be a little bit different for me. Like I've seen people have problems with their kid, and they're the teacher, they're the coach, and your son's playing baseball for you. And he's like, shut up, dad. And you're like, no, you can't say that here. I'm the coach, you know? So like, I don't want to start that. So I might just take him to another local jiu-jitsu school. Like a friend of mine, like I thought about putting him in, because when you're smaller, it's easier to throw the kids in a gi and just have them run around, and you can grab them by the belt, and you know what I mean? So I don't know if a shout out to Inverted Gear. Nelson, he does a lot of our gear for us and stuff. I would take him over there and just let him train once a week, just to get him like different than just being super comfortable at our place, you know. And then when he gets older, he'll understand, you know. So
I know a lot of guys that do jiu-jitsu. Like if I tell people, if they actually train jiu-jitsu and they're talking about like when they should bring their kid in, I tell them, and this is totally a Gracie thing that I heard way back in the day, is like play jiu-jitsu with them, like start to get them, like when you're playing with them, like get them to pass your guard and like regain the guard, and it's just make it a game. Totally a Gracie thing, not an original thought for me, but I've imparted that on people. Like play with them at home, see if they're even going to take to it. If they're just like they just don't like to do this, you might have to wait till they're a little bit older. I know my school, it's just like minimum 4, and then it's got to be kind of the personality of the kid though too. They might come in and be like totally scared, clinging to mommy's leg, or like really interested, like, what? Oh wow, kids, I want to play, and they're running right on the mat, and they're like they want to play. So it's like sometimes it's the personality of the kid as well. But definitely play with them a little at home. If you're somebody who trains, you know what you're doing, you know what the basics are. Play around a little bit and see if they even take to it. Because if you
that's great. Yeah,
we know that, right? If any, you know. Shit to this, I'm gonna be 50, and I hate when somebody tells me what to do. So when you push them towards something, right, what do we tend to do as human beings? We like push back, and we're like, no, I'm not gonna do that because you told me that. Now you're not gonna do it even if it's good for you, because you're like, because somebody told me I have to do it, you know. So all right, next question. Juggernaut gave us a couple of questions here. So do you see finishers ever getting to the point where it's like a WNO or an EBI, and then he said parentheses, in terms of popularity, or are you more focused on the underground?
I'm more focused on the underground because I feel like those other tournaments are already in place. So I don't want to, like, you know how like an organization comes around and is like, we're going to compete with UFC. And I'm like, why? Like, you don't have the resources to do it unless you're like one championship. So that's like the 1% of every organization. So for me, it's like, why am I going to battle with them? I would rather work with them. And also too, just from a business perspective, is the risk versus reward. Like, how much money do I want to put into the tournament as to what revenue am I going to get back? Mm-hmm. Like, I see these guys, like some of these tournament promoters go out there, and I just feel like, you know, not to call anybody out, but I just feel like they're lying, you know, when it comes to the pay-per-view numbers, or it comes to the, you know, streaming numbers. Like Flow obviously gets a huge amount of support because a lot of people already have the, you know, streaming service, you know, UFC Fight Pass, same thing. But to buy a pay-per-view of a jiu-jitsu event, I feel like it's very difficult. So like, you know, we're on Flow. Everything's great. We got the venue, like I said, so I don't have to like worry about all the different things. So I feel like it'd just be a lot of unneeded stress to try to take like finisher sub only globally or something like that. It just would be too crazy. And I don't see the, what I'd be getting back. You know,
that's a money, massive like, endeavor. And you're talking about, you have a young kids or kid or kids?
Yeah. Just one. He's going to be 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine having to pack up and start traveling around the country when you got a little kid, or are they coming with you, or are they staying behind? If now I'm away, who's watching my school? Who's training? Right. So
exactly.
It becomes, when you've got a home base like that, I mean, that's,
it's cool to just have
stick
it there.
with what works.
Yeah. And I don't have to worry about the streaming and the internet at other places. It's like all in place. And, you know, look, if someone came to me and said, hey, like, I'd like to pump some money into this and let's see if we can make it like, you know, have a couple bigger events during the year, whatever, then I would say, sure. But every promotion that I've seen try to like get too big over the course of whatever amount of time really fast ends up kind of like, you know, losing everything.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's cool. I'm just cool being small and just keep pumping out numbers and having fun with it.
So his next question is, what's it like being the godfather of East Coast Jiu-Jitsu?
I don't know if I'm the godfather, but maybe like, what was the son's name? Maybe I'm the godfather's son or something. But no, these guys pump me up and stuff. I really appreciate them. Shout out to Ryan. But it is fun. Like, I know I do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that some of the guys, you know, may not even know about, or like being involved with some of the tournaments I've helped out with, or just, I call it, you know, well, not I call it, but it's called like you know, I'm a big hip hop fan. So like, you know, they talk about like, oh, he ghost wrote that song for him, you know?
Yeah.
And I know Jay-Z did a lot of that. Like, I always like, I like Jay-Z. People would always battle me like, who's better, Jay-Z or Nas? I like Jay-Z, but I mean, I love Nas too, but I always thought Jay-Z was better, and just more of a business-minded guy, because I feel like that's a part of it too, which he got so huge, and you know, he just killed it on all these different business fronts. But I would always say like, yeah, I'm the leading ghostwriter in the area because so many people don't know that I either helped them, open up a school or, and not even like I got paid or anything like that. Like I just, people saw me as someone who was becoming successful from, not having anything. Like I wasn't just a guy who just came in with a whole bunch of money and opened up a huge place. Like, I'm just like, they saw me start. They knew who I was before. And now they saw everything get to a good level that we're being successful. And they're like, let me ask this guy what's up. So I end up helping a lot of people. So now they call me the Godfather. I'm like, yeah, maybe I ghost wrote it. Maybe I didn't.
That's good, man. That's good.
It'll come out in my tell-all book.
And his last question is, if you weren't running a jiu-jitsu school, what would you be doing?
I'll tell you, this is a weird one, but lately I think I would go, and I have a degree in criminal justice or applied science, I guess, from DeSales University here in Allentown. It's actually in Allentown, Pennsylvania, but I think I would want to be a lawyer. I know that sounds crazy, but obviously lawyers get paid, and I watch a lot of like criminal, stuff. And when I was going to college, I didn't want to be a cop or anything, but I worked in juvenile probation. So I was working with like a lot of young kids and everything. And I definitely didn't want to be a police officer just because I saw how hard work it is. And, they take a bad rap and shit. And some of the guys were like guys from my high school that were kind of like dickheads in high school. I don't want to work with them. And, but now like, things have changed obviously, but I don't know. I don't think I'd want to be like a, driving around a car arresting people, but I loved working with kids. So that's why I kind of got into it. But in college, they make you like, if you want to be like forensic science, you have to take chemistry. I don't know anything about science like that, like is not my repertoire. And like math, when they start introducing numbers and parentheses, it's like, what? I'm like, forget this. So instead of taking those classes, they said that you can take classes that were more towards like the courts. So like, a lot of different, just theories on like the Constitution, all this different stuff. So I took a lot of those classes and ended up getting more classes towards what I would need to, go to school to be a lawyer. So I was like, man, should I do that? Get like a master's degree and everything. But I decided to drop out and do jiu-jitsu. I did get my degree, well. I did get my degree, but I think like if I wasn't doing this, I think that would be something I could do because lawyers get paid too, and I would just shave my beard and wear long sleeves and clean myself up and be a high priced lawyer for athletes and who knows, what
my
I mean?
mother
Something
had
like
it in
that.
my head. She's like, I was always a talker, so she'd be like, you love to talk so much, you should be a lawyer. And
that's what they all said, the grandmas. Yeah.
When I got older, my I was going to follow my father's footsteps and be a cop. He was a cop in New York City. Nice. And I'm so glad I didn't do that. I am so glad I didn't do that. At least
that's
there.
tough. Yeah.
New York City is just
insane. Yeah.
I grew up on Long Island, so it was like, that was the thing. You were a cop or you became a fireman, and you lived on the island. You drove into the city, you came home, but we were fish out of the water when we went to the city. Long Island kids, like, not even the same culture. It was just culture shock. I'm glad I didn't do it. It was around the time I was going to school. I left. I didn't go. Went away to school, SUNY Albany, came back. My parents were like, you're not going back a second year because I failed like one class.
Yeah.
I went to party. And then I started going to community college. I took criminal justice and I took the test, got like one wrong on the test, got a high score. And this is when Giuliani came in and said you had to have a 2-year degree to even get a call. So then I was just like, I got to finish school. Girlfriend gets pregnant, drop out of school, blah, blah, blah. And then I just never finished. And then I made a second attempt when I came down here to Florida. That's a whole nother story that I'm not going to share.
Yeah.
I made, when I was older, I made a second attempt down here and then, got into, wasn't the best driver. We'll just leave it like that. And you got to be down here. You take the car home. They, most, when you're a cop, you take the car home. So you have to have like an impeccable driving record. And
my driving
and
record
I did not.
Yeah. Mine's not that great either.
I got a ticket going to my buddy's house the week before I was interviewing for the Fort Lauderdale PD. And I was like, it was like, you just really close the book on it. And no matter what happens to the ticket, you pretty much like close the book on it at that point, like a week before too. So it's like, and then other stuff happened that too. But
yeah, I've had ones where I went and taught a seminar, made $800, and on the way home I got like a $250 ticket. And I'm just like, damn, dude, I really need this money right now. I don't know why you're doing me like this.
Yeah. All right, last listener question, because we still have a couple more questions. What was Zach's favorite experience in traveling to coach or compete himself at a competition? What was your favorite experience?
Ooh, that's a good one.
This is Renee_Souza.
Nice. Yeah, big Renee he just tapped out Andre Petrowski in Fury, which is dope, by ankle lock. I was down there coaching him, so that was cool. Coming at me with a good question. Man, I don't know. There's been so many good ones. I think in the beginning when I first started traveling, I got to shout out Grace Gundrum. I mean, she really did a lot for my career as a coach, just getting so good and being able to compete on a high level. So there's been a lot of great memories with her and just traveling around the country. I think probably my best memory would be going with her to Japan when Quintet happened, just because I've only ever been to Canada. And I never really was out of the country besides that. So it was like a anxiety-filled trip because the flight was crazy and I had to sit in a seat for all that long, and just getting there and being involved in the culture and stuff and being able to train there and everything was really cool. So I think that's got to be right up there. Maybe that's not my number one, but it's definitely right now what I could think of on the top of my head. It's definitely one of the big ones because, having jiu-jitsu pay for that, and take us to another, like Japan of all places. Like even telling my dad, like he was super pumped. He was like, what? Like, why are you going there? I was like, I'm telling you, my student's competing in Japan.
Were your parents supportive of your jiu-jitsu during when you like, I'm going to do this for a living? Were they supportive?
Yeah, they always were.
Yeah.
My mom, she wasn't like, she didn't know, like she was like, all right, if that's what you want to do, and then my dad, he followed me. He got me into karate and everything back in the day. So he followed a lot of my career in the beginning when I was fighting like regularly and stuff. And he really helped me, and they were always supportive. They would just look at me sometimes though, like when I first started, and be like, you are making money, right? Like you're okay, right? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm all right. Because I did live in the gym and stuff for a while when I first opened it, but they would be like, all right, well, as long as you're okay, like, just do what you want.
I don't have aspirations to own a gym, but when I did get into jiu-jitsu, I was 40. It was 2 weeks before my 41st birthday is when I started jiu-jitsu. I had done a little stand-up, always had like a bag hanging in the house or in the living room. I had an Everlast stand in my living room. Like I always I was always a fan. Yeah. My dad was a boxing fan. I was a fan. I did a little bit of wrestling in junior high. So it's like I always had the itch. But when I was doing jiu-jitsu and like real, like it was like training every day. So it's like, what are you doing? You're 40 years old. And I'm like, yeah, jiu-jitsu for everybody. Wait a minute, like jiu-jitsu for everybody. What do you do? And he's just like, what are you doing? This is crazy. And I still think to this point, he's like, you still doing that jiu-jitsu? It's like, yeah, like I have this podcast, and he's listened to a couple of them now. I'm like, hey, listen to that when we talk about law enforcement, or I mentioned you, and he's listened to a couple. But yeah, they thought really 40, you're going to do jiu-jitsu? What happened? Why didn't you stick with karate when we had you in when you were 12? Like, why are you doing this now?
Yeah. So some of our guys get their balls busted by their parents and stuff when they get injured. If they're like, one guy is like whatever, like he works for, has an office job and he hurts his knee and he's limping around. His family's like, what are you doing? Yeah. He's like, what else you want me to do? You know what I mean? It's true. Like some guys are spending $1,000 golfing. Some people are getting into gambling. I'm like, we're training. Like,
I tell my wife, I'm like, I know, like, number one, I've told her, I'm like, all of like your friends' husbands. And what addiction would you rather me? Would you rather me have this addiction and that I'm going to the gym, or laying on the couch watching football games, or like fantasy this and that, and like laziness and not doing anything? Like, this is probably the best addiction I could have, because otherwise it's going to be like, you got to let this out somehow. And usually it's going to wind up, for a lot of people, it's going to be like drinking and partying and like doing stupid shit and getting yourself in trouble. I don't have energy to do anything stupid at the end of the week. I'm like,
me neither.
I tell people I go to bed earlier on Friday and Saturday night. My school does 7 days a week, so weekends it's open mats. 9 a.m. open mats is like the one class, and I go to bed earlier on those days just because I want to be like like me and my wife are like, we were like, 10, you're in bed on a Friday at 10 o'clock or 10:30. I'm like, it's my favorite. Like during the week, I'm like, my mind's going business. I'm like, it's 12:30 at night and I can't fall asleep like a baby on Friday and Saturday night, because I just know tomorrow's the easy day. Going in and having like little freaking guys half my age trying to kill me. You know?
Unless I'm traveling or something, I'm getting to bed early. I never see the main event in UFC. I fall asleep
It's hard.
by like on the couch and I wake up. I'm like, it just ended. I'm like, all right, well.
I love the fight nights because now the fight nights start with like
yeah, they're early.
7 to 5 o'clock sometimes, 7, 8.
I like when it's in another country and it starts at like 1 p.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Done by 6, have dinner, and you're done. You know?
All right. So we have one last group of questions. We can go through these a little bit faster. We call this
The Drill Down.
That's our special effects.
Nice.
So this is a group of questions. Like a lot of people ask these same questions, so we've just like formulated. We just ask everybody instead of saying like send us those questions. So we're gonna go through these real quick. So the first one is gonna be like the most obvious: gi or no gi?
No gi.
No gi. Takedown or pull guard?
Right now, I mean, I like takedowns, but my own personal, I'll pull guard.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna pull.
Yeah. I got to throw this. Like, I've pulled guard a lot through. Like, I blew out my knee before COVID, and for like the last 2 years, I'm like constantly pulling guard. And then we got good with the lockdown and like Z guard and stuff like that. But now I'm not pulling guard. Like now I'm 100% at least, my knees, and I don't pull guard so much anymore. And the guys are like, "What's going on? Why did you, you're not making it
they
easy
don't
for
expect
me."
it.
Now
That's
I'm
why
like, get on top, stay on top. Now I'm back to
that's
that.
what I've been doing a lot. A lot of people they don't think of me as knowing how to wrestle, so that's good because I always pull guard. Because then every now and then I'll ankle pick someone in the next week. And they're like, "What? Where did that come from?" Gotcha.
There you go. Okay, music during rolling, yes or no?
Yes.
What's your preference?
The kids like hip hop. I love it too, but maybe not during rolling. I like reggae more during rolling because it kind of like keeps everybody not so crazy.
Okay. So now I've got to assume that I'm going to throw in this question. This is another listener question, and I put it here. The handle is MMA Jewish Better.
Nice.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. So he says, ask him about what's his favorite hip hop album.
Man, favorite hip hop album. I mean, there's some good ones. I have to say, just because of the era I grew up in, I would have to say a tie between Biggie, either that or 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Okay.
Just because that album, you could just put it on and play out the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I remember being in college and I just kept playing it, and they kept getting pissed off because girls were getting mad because I just kept replaying it from the beginning. And they're like, put something else on. And I'm like, no, we're listening to 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. And I know a lot of people don't like 50, and he's not even the best lyricist per se. It's just that album with Dr. Dre and Eminem is just put together so good, where just every song is like a hitter, like either that or like the first real Biggie album that came out, because I was a young kid during that was really good too. I mean, that had like a little bit of everything. It was super raunchy and still had like, girl songs on there as well. So, and if everybody doesn't, everybody knows those ones. They have Method Man on it and stuff. So I got to say a tie between those two.
So what would your walkout song be then?
Nowadays, man, I don't even know. Right now, I came out to Tribal Seeds, which is like a reggae song.
Okay.
So sometimes I come out to that, but maybe I would throw on Pop Smoke and Kanye West, See the Vision. That one goes hard. Okay. It's a little bit different. Like I just got to be something to like really pump me up. I think my first fight I made, it came out to DMX. So there you go.
Okay. All right. So are you studying a lot of tape? Do you watch a lot of MMA and jiu-jitsu when you're not on the mats?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I actually started working for Flow Grappling. I have a part-time gig with them as like a freelance guy. Yeah, I do like clipping of some of the live events that they do. I was doing that for a while, and now I did same thing for Who's Number One. I clip out a lot of the things. So sometimes the guys are competing, and like the clips that they're putting on Instagram, I'm like cutting the clips and putting it in a folder, and these other guys are like going through them. So I'll do that. Cool. Yeah. And then I like update like results and stuff on their event hub. So like some of the local events, and that's kind of why I started at WSOA, because I'm already dealing with a lot of these local smaller events where I can like, hey, give me that are on Flow, especially. I'm like, hey, send me the results. I'll update them on their site. So that way people can actually go. A lot of times the results are just lost in the wind. Here you can go on and see, who won and what have you. So a lot of times I'm seeing all these people, and I might, if I have to clip the event, I'm seeing every match. And then like what I'll do is I'll get the beginning and the end, but then in the middle, they're like, you're a black belt, you know, you're good. You know what looks cool. Just give me anything that looks cool. So like any transition, like that's like a reversal or like a submission attempt or a submission, like I'll clip that out and send it to them. So it ends up me seeing a massive amount of, you know, jiu-jitsu techniques, moves. And then with our tournament every month, I'm seeing, you know, what's working on the mid to high level where I'm like, all right, you know, guys are doing this, we need to work on that. So it kind of helps with that. And then I do like on Wednesdays, because I teach at night, I always make time. Today I did the podcast with you guys, but I always kind of make time to watch and like kind of formulate what I'm going to teach for the week. Like sometimes I'll do it on a Monday, but so I end up seeing a lot of stuff. But I will say this, sometimes I'll just take like, for you said the weekend, I'll take the entire weekend off unless there's an event, obviously. I'll take the entire weekend off and I just, instead of listening to or like watching jiu-jitsu videos, I'll just listen to like murder mysteries, some corny shit like that, or I'll listen to like other business stuff. And then sometimes I just won't have anything. It'll just be music for the weekend. So that way I don't feel like I'm in school. You know, I don't want to feel like I want it to be fun. I want it to be like intriguing. I don't want it to be like, all right, I'm watching another video, you know? I don't want it to feel like I'm, you know, putting myself through hell.
I'll do that too. I'll purposely shut anything off. It's funny because I didn't always use it, but turning on the do not disturb on my phone.
Oh yeah.
Putting that on, like I did it during the podcast. Like I do that more often now because I'm like, if I don't, every client, like, you know, I have the marketing company, I have the podcast. Every client has either a WhatsApp open with us, like me and my daughter works for the company. So it's usually me and my daughter in a chat so they can get one of us if they need something. So it's either a text chat or WhatsApp. So like, they can get me whenever they want, but there are just sometimes I've got to turn it off. And I do try to find something that has nothing to do with marketing, business development, or jiu-jitsu. I just want to turn off my brain from that. And I want to find something really stupid. Right now I'm watching The Tick on
Nice.
on
I remember
Prime.
that one. Yeah.
It was actually, I think there's two Tick. There was an older one. I'm watching the most recent one on Prime, but I think it was only 2 seasons. I'm
Nice.
like, so maybe 2 or 4 seasons, I forget. And Mr. Robot. And that just got me. So I don't know if you know Mr. Robot. There was like a series on USA. I never watched it back in the day. So I've been watching that and I'm like hooked. So that's been my like get my mind away from business. So like I'll always find something like that. Yeah. Before I used to leave jiu-jitsu and just watch jiu-jitsu videos, but I was like, really, you know, like she'd walk into the bedroom and I'm like casting YouTube videos.
Gotta take a break. Yeah.
Now I'm just like, I'll do it in the morning or before, if I know I'm going to training, I'm going to stretch or I like massage gun, then I put it on and because I'm about to do that. So I'm preparing myself. But I've had to learn how to turn my brain off, which is hard, especially the marketing company's only a couple of years old. So I had to work 7 days a week for a long time to get it off the ground. And now it's there and it's working. And now I have other employees doing stuff. Now I pay people to worry about it, you know, now,
exactly.
My daughter, sorry, hon.
That's the goal.
Sorry, Tori. All right. So next question. So who are your favorite competitors to watch? Jiu-jitsu and MMA.
Right, man, I always like anybody who does, you know, add jiu-jitsu into it in MMA, but I mean, I like all the top guys. I always like McGregor. I like watching him fight because it's always going to be like a whole situation, whether he wins or loses. I could really care less a lot of the times, like who wins the fights. Like they're always like, who do you want to win? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to see a crazy fight, you know? I like seeing, like I said, I like seeing anyone who's going to throw some jiu-jitsu because I kind of like to see just what happens. Like that Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill, that was an awesome fight.
That was a great fight.
Yeah, it was cool to watch that, like just her hitting the throws and getting reversed and then playing guard. And you're just like, hey, man, that's cool. Jiu-jitsu, I really like. The same thing. I do like watching Gordon. I like watching anyone who shuts down high-level leg locks. Like when someone goes against a leg lock guy and just shuts it down and passes her guard, and you know, I love that kind of stuff.
Somebody's got to tell Mackenzie Dern like it's okay to pound. I think she's really going for that record, right? Like the most submissions. But somebody's got to tell her like, you're pounding this girl out. Stop trying to take her back. Like the fight would have been done like 2 rounds ago.
Yeah, they would have
just pounded her out. But she's always trying to go for the jiu-jitsu finish, you know?
Yeah, it's dangerous, dangerous. Like that, those fighters, you never know. You could get clipped and then it's, you know.
But she looked at, I can't say I've watched every single one of her fights, but there's only a handful. She looked great. Physically.
Most aggressive.
She looked in shape. this is the first time she really looked in shape. She was on point, and her stand-up was
super aggressive,
really
hitting
good.
her. Yeah, I liked
she was
it.
tagging her. She was connecting, and it wasn't just to take her down, not just throwing hands as an entry to the takedown. She held her own with her stand-up. It was a great fight, man. Loved it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, that's the kind of fights I want to see.
Okay, so ultimate goal in the world of jiu-jitsu and MMA, if you want to put those together, what is your ultimate goal? What do you want your legacy to be?
Right now I want, if it's legacy, I want people to remember that I always, if I wanted people to remember something, that I always helped as many people out as I can. I feel like that's huge. And I love the, good karma from it. So the more people I can help and, on a personal level, I feel like that's important to me. Especially having a family. I want to be able to show my son that like, I wasn't like, greedy or anything like that, that I helped a lot of people. I want him to see that, like, humanitarian type stuff. And then also, I want to just keep, I want to keep coaching and keep putting people into high level matches. And I want people to see that it wasn't just like a, one trick pony with one student got really good. Like I want to show people that I've been producing, good students, and I can continue to do it. And I probably want to retire, honestly, in like 10 years. By the time I'm 50, I want to be, basically just teaching once or twice a week, maybe 3 times. So my ultimate goal is to open up another 2-3 schools and then just kind of fade back and let everybody else get the opportunity to, take the ball in their court and run with it, and just kind of oversee everything. So that's kind of my goal. And like I said, if people remember me as someone who helped people and also, was a good guy to everybody, I think that's huge. Type of person like I want to be, not just about like, being good at jiu-jitsu or having people win medals. I want people to just know that, deep down, I was a good person, always helped people. So I think that's important.
That's important. That's great. So normally our last question is, you're not a gi guy. So our last question is, do you or do you not wash your gi belt? Because there's all this like controversy. There was controversy with me and one of my co-hosts. Like we would always mess with each other about washing it. Have you ever put on the gi other than karate? Have you ever put on the jiu-jitsu gi? Oh yeah.
Okay. So I've trained a bunch. Like I actually know a ton of moves. I competed gi one time back in the day when it was technically a blue belt. But every time I go to John Jock's, like when I'm out in Cali, like I always super respectful. I always wear the gi in there, and like he always says, he always takes a gi off, and then we roll no gi and stuff. But just because it's there, like I went to Marcelo's, I did gi up there. A lot of times it'd be like gi in the morning and then take a break and then come back for no gi. So I'd always do as much. And I feel like I tell the guys, you don't want to be ignorant to a whole nother style of jiu-jitsu. That would be stupid to not know anything. Like if someone had a gi on and you had a gi on, you would just get destroyed. That would be stupid. So like I've rolled with a lot of high level guys, and I roll with John Jock and gi, it's pretty amazing, but it's just not my main thing. Like maybe I'll do it more like when I get a little bit older or something, but for now it's just not something I'm concentrating on. But I will say this about the debate on whether to wash the belt or not. When I did karate for years, you wanted your belt to look beat up. Like if you had a brand new black belt or like a brand new, like when I got my 2nd degree karate black belt, it was brand new and people would make fun of you because it looked like, the belt was like sticking up like this, whatever. So people would literally take their belt and run it over with their car and throw it in the street and like just beat it with a broom or a hammer or whatever. And like I used to take it and like rub it against the wall and try to like fray the edges. Like this is obviously, I was a kid. I didn't know that was wrong. Then I found, I'm like, wait, you're not supposed to do that. I was like, I wanted it to look more beat up than it was. They're like, dude, you can't do that. But karate guy, there was the one guy is like his belt. He was like a 10th degree or some shit from, I forget what, but his whole belt was. So I say, don't wash it. Beat it up. Don't wash it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a belt washer. Nobody ever told me not to do it. And until I think it was really we had Wagner on the show. Wagner sat here and he said, like, no, like it's supposed to show the wear and tear from, it shows how much you've been training. He says, how am I supposed to know how much you've been training if you've like, and I'm like, no one ever said it to me like that. Nobody told me not to, just always being clean. And then again, when I started doing the podcast, I had a buddy who was an old school, like black belt. He'd been training like many, many moons. And he was just like, it was like, I had like, I don't know, like offended his mother or something.
Yeah.
Like, you don't do that. What are you doing? Are you crazy? And then it just became this thing and this question that we asked. So I still wash my belt. I have 2 belts. One is real dark. One is light. One I wash more. One I wash less. And I never really. Now I've been doing it so long that I don't really care. I do as I approach. Knock on wood, God willing that I get my black belt one day. I do think about it with that one. Like, it's just like, this is the black belt. This is my coach gave. I don't know. I feel like it might be a little different. That I don't know that I want that to see the wash. I'm going to use a lot of Lysol on it. Or we have Neutral Zone Clean. One of our sponsors, he sends us like this cleaning solution. You can just spray
hit
on
it with
yourself.
that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a little MRSA never hurt anybody, right?
It is funny too when I go to John Jocks and I put on the black, because I have, obviously I'm a black belt, so I put the black belt on. It's crazy when the guys are like looking at me like, "Did you just get your black belt?" I'm like, "No." I was like, I just never wear this belt. You know what I mean? It's like brand new. So they always look at our whole crew. They're like, "What, you guys all just what are you guys, like a team of brand new black belts?" Like 4 of us with like belts all stiff, and they're like, but they love us over there. So.
All right, so that was our last question, but I want to give you a minute to, first of all, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Want to give you a second to shout out any sponsors, give everybody your handles for, finishers, for your school. I'll let you take a second. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Sweet, thank you. Just appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for everybody who ended up getting me on the show here. I love doing stuff like this. Anytime I have a chance to talk more jiu-jitsu with people, in the community, I feel like that's huge. If you just go to the link, follow me on Instagram. That's like the main thing at Big Uncle Zach Maslany. I don't even know where that came from, but I'm like everybody's uncle, so I call people cuz a lot. I'm like, "What's up, cuz?" Guys be like, "Yo, what up, Unc?" But check me out on Instagram. The link in my bio has everything that I'm either pushing, selling, or a part of. It's a seminar series or anything, so you can always check in there. Obviously, there's a Finisher sub only, Finishers MMA. 10 Planet Bethlehem, got a gang of students, got a whole team out there that's working hard. So just be on the look for us out there. And if you're ever in the Bethlehem, Pennsylvania area, that's where Jesus was born, come through, check us out. And you're always welcome to come through. So
I know Jesus. I met him when I was up there.
Yeah.
All right, listen, don't hang up. I'm going to come take some pictures with you, but thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care.
Jiu-Jitsu's favorite monthly subscription box has now joined the Jiu-Jitsu Dummies podcast. The BJJ box is delivered to your door filled with premium jiu-jitsu and grappling apparel, equipment, supplements, supplies, snacks, and more. The crew at the BJJ box find the best in the world of jiu-jitsu and guarantee every box to be worth more than the cost. Each box includes 4 to 7 items you're going to love. Visit thebjjbox.com and use code JJD10 to get $10 off your very first box. And give them a follow on Instagram at TheBJJBox. The Jiu-Jitsu Dummies would like to congratulate Neutral Zone Clean on the release of their newest product, a healthy and pH-balanced bar soap that's perfect for anyone looking to take care of their skin. This soap is made with all natural ingredients that help nourish and restore your skin's natural barrier. It contains glycerin, which naturally attracts moisture to itself in the skin, leaving it feeling soft and hydrated. The new bar soap also contains a blend of olive, coconut, and castor oils and shea butter, which are rich in vitamins, nutrients, essential fatty acids, and antioxidants that help fight harmful bacteria. With tea tree and other natural ingredients, it also helps in the prevention of fungal infections. Not only is it effective, but it also leaves your skin feeling fresh and lightly scented. It's gentle enough for even the most sensitive skin, making it a perfect choice for the whole family. Be sure to check out their website, neutralzoneclean.com, for a range of all-natural products including sprays, wipes, and shower gels, and use code JJD for 15% off your order. Special thank you to the crew over at Flow and Roll for all their support. Flow and Roll is renowned for their incredible no-gi rash guards, shorts, and leggings. Flow and Roll has quickly become the premier custom apparel provider for academies big and small throughout the United States. Reach out today to discuss your custom order and ask about their incredible pre-order program. You can send an email to flowandroll@gmail.com or visit their Instagram at flow_n_roll and shoot them a direct message. And yes, they can create an awesome custom gi for your academy as well. Visit flowandroll.com to check out their awesome designs, and while you're there, pick up a Jiu-Jitsu Dummy signature tee exclusively at flowandroll.com. And remember, You'll get 20% off your purchase of t-shirts, rash guards, or gis with code JJD.
All right. Very cool, right?
Yes.
Cool dude. A lot
Very
going
cool.
on. What did you just say when we were taking pictures about jobs?
What?
Did you say something about you had too many jobs, or you can't do too many jobs?
Oh no, I can't be fighter and producer.
Oh, okay. So nobody heard that I said to you when we were off air when we said goodbye. We always take some pictures. I said, "Oh, this Meat Bo, he doesn't train yet."
Yeah.
I guess I feel like I have to say that so they know. Oh, is he a jiu-jitsu guy too? Like I feel like they might be asking it in their head.
Well, I'm becoming a jiu-jitsu fan at this point.
Yeah, we got to get you on the mat, dude.
You know,
we got to get you on the mat.
Like I know some of the people in it. And, comment on Gordon Ryan's shit on Instagram. So.
Definitely one of my recent favorites here. The conversation with Zach, really nice dude.
Yeah,
really. Like you could, when you could just tell he has like a very calm demeanor.
Yeah,
you could just tell that he's got
good experience.
Good personality.
Like, that comes from experience. That comes from being there. You know.
And my life.
How old is he?
We didn't ask.
He's got to be like he said like in 10 years he wants. So he's got to be in his 40s, like early 40s.
Yeah, he did say something.
30,
right
39, 40, something like that.
Well, good dude, great interview. Thank you to Sean at Flow and Roll for putting us together and mentioning like, hey, you should have this guy on the show.
Cool.
Love what he's got going on. Check him out. We'll put all of his Instagram handles in the bio in the description on YouTube and on the podcast app. So check us out at Jiu-Jitsu Dummies for all the ways to watch, listen, and support. I'm Uncle Milty BJJ on Instagram.
At the BADWERKS on Instagram.
We're going to let you guys go. Thank you for sticking around. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu. I had to look down at the thing to say, what else am I supposed to say? 118 episodes.
I'm waiting for it, and you forgot.
Peace, love, jiu-jitsu.